June 10th, 2426. This was the day that would decide the rest of my life. The crowd outside the Awakening Center was packed shoulder to shoulder. For our generation, the year you turned 18, you got only one chance to awaken as a lord. And what did being a lord mean? Wealth, power, status, everything. Mom, Dad, Xiaowan, this is far enough. I'm going in. I clutched my ID card, took a deep breath, and stepped through the gate. Big brother, you've got this. Son, it's okay even if you don't make it. I looked back. My parents' aging faces. My little sister's goofy smile. I grinned, waved, and turned to walk inside. It's okay if I don't make it. Like hell it is. There was no way it would be okay. Ever since kindergarten, my parents had worked from dawn till dark, scrimping and saving, carrying the weight of my 100,000 a year on nothing but a pair of working hands. They never said a word about it. But I was 18 now. I understood everything. This time, I would not let those 18 years of struggle be for nothing. Top of my class. The strongest mental power in the whole school. I had every reason to believe. I passed through 2 verification checkpoints and entered the Awakening Hall. At the center hung a blue sphere of light, 10 meters across. Over 100 people floated inside it, eyes closed, awakening. All around me were kids my age, waiting just like I was, whispering among themselves. My mental power ranks dead last in the grade. I'm done for, aren't I? Yeah, you're toast, man. Please, God, let me awaken. I'll be grateful for a territory the size of a bathroom. I ignored them, found a corner, closed my eyes, and steadied my mind. The calmer your awakening state, the higher your success rate. I had one shot. I couldn't waste a single second. Next group. Numbers 10365 through 10514. Gather at the center of the hall. My eyes snapped open. My number was 10366. It was my turn. After a head count and identity check, our group filed into the blue sphere of light one by one. A soft splash. The moment I stepped inside, weightlessness hit me all at once, like falling into water. Some kind of liquid wrapped around my whole body. A wave of drowsiness rose up. My eyelids grew heavy, and I drifted off to sleep. I don't know how long it was before I opened my eyes again. My heart skipped a beat. I was floating in the middle of the stars. Right in front of me hung a massive planet, swirling with color, just suspended there in space. The teacher said if you can see something, that means you succeeded. But the teacher also said what you were supposed to see was your territory. All I saw was this planet. There's no way my territory is this whole planet, is it? I laughed at myself. Dream on. And in that instant, a cold, emotionless voice exploded inside my head. Congratulations. You have obtained your one and only starting territory, Planet Zero. Total territory area, 10 billion square kilometers. Territory rank, SSSSSSSS. My pupils shrank to points. 10 billion square kilometers? Earth was only 500 million. My territory was 20 times the size of Earth. And that rating, 9 S's. The strongest person in the entire country had a territory rated A. Above A came S. And me? 9 S's. I muttered under my breath, moving from disbelief to slowly, piece by piece, accepting this insane reality. Because I could feel it, clear as day. Between me and this planet, there was a thread binding us tight. The planet was calling to me. I almost wanted to dive straight into it. No. I shook my head, forcing myself back to my senses. The first time you enter your territory, a 7-day survival period begins. I have to go back first and tell Mom and Dad the good news. Outside the gates of the Awakening Center, my parents and Xiaowan waited alongside the other families, standing there for over 2 full hours. Group after group came out. Most of them wore the faces of the dead. Some broke down sobbing the moment they saw their loved ones. Only a rare few came bursting out beaming, ready to share the good news. Mom, I made it. 570 square meters. I'm a lord. Really? Oh, my son, you're amazing. My dad watched that mother and son embrace, envy filling his eyes. Don't worry. Our boy's every bit as good as anyone. My mom's words were tough, but my dad noticed the right hand gripping her water bottle. It was trembling. Another half hour of waiting. Then another group came out. Son, over here. My dad suddenly threw both arms up and shouted. Dad, I rushed toward them. Big brother, did you make it? Xiaohuan was bouncing on her toes with worry. I looked at their nervous, hopeful eyes, and I nodded, hard. My mom grabbed my hand, her voice shaking. You made it? Really? Really? I'm a lord now. My throat tightened. I did it. Good. That's good. My dad clapped a hand on my shoulder, his eyes going red. This was a man who had never shed a tear in his life. Come on, he laughed. Let's buy a pound of beef and a fish too. Tonight, we celebrate. Yay, we're having meat. Xiaohuan leapt 3 feet in the air. At the dinner table, my dad, who hadn't touched a drop in 20 years, got completely drunk. That's my boy. On the way over, I wanted to ask so many times. Your mom wouldn't let me. I just want to know, your territory, how big is it? You old drunk. My mom's face darkened. 2 sips, and you're already talking nonsense. Xiaoyan awakened successfully. Isn't that enough? Why do you have to ask so much? She dropped a piece of beef into my bowl. Don't mind your father. Eat. I smiled. It's fine. I know the reason you don't ask is you're afraid my territory's too small, and it'll hurt my pride. But the truth is, my territory isn't small at all. Just the opposite. It's terrifyingly big. See, my dad slammed the table and roared with laughter. What did I say? How could my kid come up short? My mom laughed and scolded him. Listen to you brag. But I knew. The worry she'd carried all day had finally settled. Big brother, how big is your territory really? Xiaohuan tilted her head. It's not, like 1,000 square meters, is it? Too small. Guess bigger. Oh, then, 10,000 square meters. Still small. Be bolder. My mom couldn't sit still. 10,000 square meters is small. That's already enough to qualify for the national Tier 3 subsidy. Ha ha ha. My dad took a big swig. Oh, the two of you. So little imagination. Don't I know my own son? Let me name a number. 100,000 square meters. I shook my head. Dad, still too small. Still too small. My dad shot to his feet, his chair clattering to the floor. Son, don't you go scaring your old man. That 100,000 square meters had been a wild guess, blurted out under the liquor. He never expected me to still call it small. I looked at the three of them and said, with a straight face, you might not believe me when I say this, but this time, my territory is an entire planet. Total area, 10 billion square kilometers. Xiaohuan, a third grader, was stunned on the spot and started counting on her fingers. My mom and dad's faces froze. 1 second. 2 seconds. Ha ha ha. You little rascal. Now you're pulling your old man's leg. My dad set his chair upright and plopped back down. My mom just shook her head, smiling. They didn't believe me, even though it was me saying it. 1 million square meters, 10 million, they'd have believed without blinking. But 10 billion square kilometers? The whole Earth was only 500 million. I sighed. All right, fair enough. It really was hard to accept. Even I still felt like I was dreaming. Okay, the honest truth. I put on a helpless look. My territory is 1.3 million square meters. My dad, my mom, Xiaohuan. You're sure it's 1.3 million square meters? My dad set down his cup. I'm sure. No joking this time. He leaned forward, staring straight at me. No joking. The table went quiet again. Oh, my mom suddenly buried her face and began to cry. Look at you. My dad patted her back. This is the happiest news in the world, and you're crying. My mom wiped at her eyes clumsily. Who's crying? These are happy tears. My son's made something of himself, and I'm thrilled. Big brother, 1.3 million square meters. Xiaohuan stared at me in a daze. Doesn't that qualify for the national Tier 1 subsidy? Barring anything unexpected, yes. I smiled and nodded. We were poor. To give me one more sliver of a chance at becoming a lord, they'd nearly spent everything they had. Xiaohuan had sacrificed so much too. Her whole life she'd worn my hand-me-downs, played with toys I'd gotten tired of, even carried the beat-up backpack I'd outgrown. I never said it out loud, but deep down I'd always felt I owed her. Now everything would change. 100 million in subsidies. From this day on, our family's fortunes would turn around. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? My mom went rummaging through drawers. News this big. We have to tell Teacher Huang right now. You should. My dad handed over his phone. Teacher Huang's looked out for our boy plenty. Qinghe High School. The teacher's office. Huang Shuwang sat staring at the phone on his desk. He'd been staring at it since morning, hadn't moved an inch. The results should have been in long ago, but he hadn't gotten a single call. What made it worse was that of the 6 teachers in the office, he was the only one like this. Everyone else kept getting calls from students sharing good news. Only him, sitting there, waiting on nothing. Don't take it hard, old Huang. The grade director sauntered over and clapped him on the shoulder. This awakening business, it's half skill, half luck. Bad luck happens. Nothing you can do. Look at my class, 7 lords in one go. Just a little luckier, that's all. Huang Shuwang's chest tightened. This old codger wasn't offering comfort. He was rubbing it in and gloating. Any other day, Huang would have fired right back. But today, he had nothing to stand on. Just then, his phone buzzed. He snatched it up in a flash and glanced at the caller. Zhou Yun's mom. His breathing went ragged. Zhou Yun, top of the whole grade this year. the student he had the highest hopes for. This call, it had to be good news. He answered at once, and from the other end came Zhou Yun's mother, unable to contain her joy. Teacher Huang, thanks to your 3 years of devoted teaching, my Zhou Yun awakened successfully. He made it. Huang Shuwang shot to his feet. Wonderful. Fantastic. How big's the territory? And the quality? He says 1.3 million square meters. 1.3 million square meters. Huang Shuwang let out a thunderous roar that nearly made the eavesdropping grade director drop his water cup. That's right. That's what he said himself. No mistake. Zhou Yun's mother was startled by the shout. Ha 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 ha. Huang Shuwang threw his head back and laughed like a madman. No mistake. Absolutely no mistake. That boy Zhou Yun never lies. If he says 1.3 million, then it's 1.3 million. National Tier 1 subsidy, he qualifies. In all of the nation's history, a territory this size lands solidly in the top 3. The top 3. Rest assured, applying for the subsidy is my duty as his homeroom teacher. I'll get it done for him as fast as humanly possible. He hung up, lifted his head, and found that the entire office had gathered around him without his noticing. There were even more people crowding in from outside. Old Huang, is it real? 1.3 million? Your student Zhou Yun. If that's real, he's a pillar of the nation for sure. Good grief. All 5 of my class's lords put together aren't even a fraction of his. The grade director sidled up, all smiles. Old Huang, this business of applying for the subsidy, why don't you leave it to me? You've been worn out these past few days. Let me shoulder some of the load as your director. That won't be necessary, thank you. Huang Shuwang smiled proudly, grabbed his phone and coat, and headed for the door. An honor like this, only a fool with water for brains would hand it off. There was a long line at the administrative center. Any other day, however impatient he was, he'd wait his turn. But today, I'm applying for the National Tier 1 subsidy for my student. Would you mind letting me through? The words fell, and a hush swept the room. The way cleared for him. In under 5 minutes, every last bit of paperwork was done. That afternoon at 4:30, Huang Shuwang led a whole group of Qinghe city officials, the city governor among them, straight to our door. My parents had never met such important people, and they were so overwhelmed they didn't know what to do with their hands. But what caught them off guard was how kind these big shots were, treating them like old friends in every word. That night, I lay clutching the testing crystal the city governor had personally delivered, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Words alone proved nothing. My saying 1.3 million didn't count. I had to carry this crystal into my territory for a real measurement, then bring the measured crystal back before the subsidy would come through. Just one final step. Once that subsidy came in, life for our whole family would be turned upside down in the best way. And one more thing. The first time you enter your territory, a 7-day survival period begins, and during it, there's no returning to Earth. And tomorrow was the day our whole class of lords would enter our territories, all at once. A planet that huge. What exactly is waiting for me inside? My head full of daydreams, I sank into a deep sleep. It was 7 o'clock the next morning. I said goodbye to my family and linked to my territory right on schedule. A flash, a burst of white light, the world spun, and I lost consciousness. Squee, squee, squee. I woke to a chorus of soft, adorable little cries. The instant my eyes opened, I sprang up and jumped back, throwing myself into a defensive stance. A lord is at his most vulnerable the moment he enters his territory. Turns out, the defensive stance was completely unnecessary, because in front of me were dozens of colorful, smooth, glistening jellies. Squee, squee. They bounced up and down on the ground, big glossy eyes blinking, as if utterly fascinated by this creature who'd appeared out of thin air. Scan. I flicked my hand and cast a scan. Ding. A panel only I could see materialized before me. Water element slime. Rank, F. Level, 3. Strength 1. Endurance 1. Wisdom 1. Spirit 1. Speed 1. Talent, water element affinity. Description, one of the weakest monsters alive. It never bullies, only gets bullied. Timid by nature, good at huddling together for warmth. All stats 1. So weak. I let out a breath, but half my heart sank. A territory's rank is tied to the rank of the creatures inside it. This planet was rated 9S's, yet the first thing I met was a flock of pushovers with all stats at 1. I was starting to wonder whether those 9S's were propped up entirely by sheer size. Using this bunch as my starting militia, well, you could imagine how fast development would go. As I was thinking it, that familiar neutral voice spoke up again. Welcome to your territory, Planet Zero. The 7-day adaptation period has begun. You cannot leave the territory during this time. 10 basic militia conversion talismans have been distributed to your Lord space. The info, Lord network, and shop functions are now unlocked. The schools had taught all this long ago, so it didn't faze me much. The crucial part was those 10 conversion talismans. They were the foundation of developing my territory. I couldn't afford to waste a single one. A faint light flickered at my fingertips, and a grayish-white talisman appeared. I looked at the flock of colorful slimes, then put the talisman away again. 10 talismans. Priceless. Waste one on these pushovers. Too much of a loss. Let's keep looking. I shook my head, gripped the military knife I'd pulled from my survival pack, and headed east. Converting militia and building up combat strength as fast as possible is a lord's first rule of survival. But slimes were just too weak. Converting them would be a waste. Planet Zero was teeming with life, its vegetation lush and thick. I made my way slowly down a forest path. To my surprise, that flock of slimes actually came hopping along after me. I walked, they walked. I stopped, they stopped. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but I didn't shoo them off. For one, they were pretty cute. For another, their sense of danger was sharp, so they could warn me. 2 or 3 minutes in, the slimes suddenly all darted off to the side. A few of them even lowered their voices and squeaked at me, as if urging me to hide too. I hadn't sensed anything off, but I chose to trust these locals. I ducked behind a tree and held my breath. Only then did I hear it. A faint, rhythmic breathing, like some creature fast asleep. My heart started to race. A powerful creature meant danger, but it also meant opportunity. Convert it into a militia unit, and my combat strength would skyrocket. And more than that, its power would directly determine the ceiling for this territory's development. Surely I couldn't expect to raise a flock of slimes into a world-ending force. I crept forward on tiptoe. Soon, I saw the source of the sound. A massive bear, coated head to toe in golden fur, deep in slumber. Its body had to be a full 3 meters long. Just lying there, it was enough to crush the breath out of you. I flicked a scan over it. Schwanta bear. Rank, B. Level, 2. Strength, 26. Endurance, 33. Wisdom, 4. Spirit, 5. Speed, 17. Talent, density, reduces damage taken by 20%. Skill, chain palm strike. Description, a gentle bear-type monster. It won't attack unless attacked. Fish and honey accepted. B rank. My heart skipped a beat. Waking up to a flock of F-rank pushovers had left me cold inside. Who'd have thought the tide would turn so soon? In an ordinary territory, F, E, and D-rank creatures are about the best you'll get. B rank? Only a rare handful of top-tier territories have those. And the owners of those territories, as far as I knew, were almost all super elites ranked in the world's top 1,000. I stared at that sleeping giant, slowing my breath, as a single thought caught fire in my mind. Could it be? I might have a shot at joining the ranks of the world's greatest? 300 years ago, a great cataclysm rewrote the earth completely. Bloodthirsty disaster beasts wreathed in black mist rained down from the sky, and wherever they passed, not a blade of grass survived. Humanity's firearms all fell useless, and we were driven back, step by step, until a massive stone tablet crashed down, bringing with it the power to awaken as a lord. Lords could develop territories, then bring resources and the fighting forces they'd tamed back to Earth to join the war. Only then did humanity begin to fight back, building city after city, holding on to this very day. No gods came to save mankind. It was lords, one after another, throwing themselves into the fight, carving out this present with their very lives. On this earth with no gods, the lords are humanity's guardian deities. And I, Zhou Yun, now stood at the very starting point of a guardian deity. The thought made my eyes shine brighter and brighter. Go! I let out a low shout, and the conversion talisman in my hand shot out, streaking straight for the sleeping Schwanta bear. A creature in a state of sleep has the lowest resistance. This was the ideal moment to use a talisman. A low hum. Gray radiance enveloped the Schwanta bear. 1 second. 2 seconds. The radiance suddenly contracted and sank into its body. Congratulations. You have successfully converted the Schwanta bear into a militia unit. The Schwanta bear slowly opened its glossy eyes, looked at its own chubby paws, then looked at me as I walked over, its whole face a picture of confusion. Shake. I held out my right hand. It obediently lifted its right paw and set it gently in my hand. It couldn't understand a word I said, yet somehow felt close to me, could grasp my meaning, and was willing to do as I asked. It let out a low grunt, crouched down, and brought its big head over to nuzzle me. I wrapped my arms around its furry head and laughed. Some things, knowing about them is one matter. Living through them is another entirely. like this inexplicable thread between me and this bear. You're my first companion, and you've got such a goofy look. From now on, I'll call you Big Bear. MM? MM. Big Bear didn't get it, but nodded all the same. Squee. Squee. That flock of colorful slimes had gathered around at some point, squinting their eyes and bouncing up and down, as if celebrating for me. My heart was blooming with joy too. Coming into this world had gone so smoothly, I could hardly believe it. A B-rank Schwanta bear, handled with a single talisman. What came next was simple. Big Bear, take this and go chop down a tree. I dug an axe out of my survival pack, handed it over, and mimed a few chopping motions. The bond between a lord and his militia showed itself in full right about now. Big Bear was a monster who'd never held an axe in 8 lifetimes. Yet the moment I demonstrated, it actually took the axe, reared up on its hind legs like it knew what it was doing, and swung down at the nearest big tree. Thwack! The trunk was left with a gash about a centimeter deep, but the axe blade had a huge chunk chipped out of it. I froze. This axe came from the top-tier survival pack the city governor had given me. It represented the highest craftsmanship on Earth. One swing, and it chipped. Something's off. I flicked a scan at this unremarkable-looking tree. Green Plains fir. Rank C. Recycle value 20 gold. C-rank timber? I sucked in a sharp breath. Out of habit, I'd assumed these plain-looking trees, scattered everywhere across the ground, were E-rank at best, good for chopping up to build a shack. Who could have guessed a random swing would land on a treasure tree? I remembered it clearly. A single piece of C-rank timber could sell for 6 figures back on Earth. And right now, trees like this, as far as my eye could see, they were everywhere. My heart lurched. I started flicking scans at the rocks, the flowers and grass, the other trees around me, one after another. The result? My hands were shaking. These ordinary-looking flowers, grass, and trees, the lowest of them were D-rank. C-rank made up the majority, and there were even B-rank and A-rank mixed in. This wasn't a forest. This was a damn mountain of gold. In that moment, I finally understood why my territory was rated 9 S's. Treasures blanketing the ground, over an area so absurdly vast. 9 S's. Well and truly earned. But a new problem arose. Treasure trees everywhere. Great. But how was I supposed to cut them down? Even a top craftsmanship axe had chipped. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Fine. I guess you could call this the troubles of the wealthy? Big Bear seemed to read my mind. It flung the axe aside, let out a roar, and swung a massive palm at that Green Plains fir. Boom. The fir, thick enough to need 2 people to wrap their arms around, shook violently. Roar. One strike wasn't enough, so Big Bear went at it with both paws, bear palms raining down like a storm. Boom, 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 boom. It pounded for a full half-minute before the Green Plains fir finally couldn't take it. With a crack, it came crashing down. You're incredible. I gave Big Bear a thumbs up. No tools, felling a tree barehanded. Truly worthy of a B-rank Schwanta bear. Big Bear was panting hard after all that pounding. But hey, the tree was ours now, wasn't it? Only, using timber this precious to build a shack was such a waste of a treasure. I turned my attention to the Lord Network. The Lord Network let lords communicate with one another and trade supplies. I had no ordinary timber, but that didn't mean nobody else did. The corner of my mouth curled up, and I opened the Lord Network. Messages on the Lord Network scrolled by in a blur. Stranded on a deserted island. The only living things here are me and one tree. How do I turn this around? Waiting online, urgent. Start with one tree, then join the glorious evolution. Big brothers, why is my crummy little village nothing but old geezers and grannies? An elderly militia corps? Not bad. Are you kidding me? My territory is literally a bathroom. How am I supposed to develop anything? Maggot mobilization. At least you won't run short on protein. Bleg. I watched for a while and realized it was all pleas for help and sob stories. Made sense. Lords who could actually develop properly were heads down building right now. Who had time to chat? The ones showing up on the Lord Network were mostly the ones who'd hit a wall. I had no plans to make small talk. I posted the Green Plains fir's info directly. 1 Green Plains fir. Trading for F-rank ordinary timber. The moment the message went out, the scroll speed absolutely exploded. Holy crap. C-rank treasure wood. Something this good, and you're putting it out now? Brother, are you out of your mind? Enough yapping. He wants to trade. What's it to you? I'll offer 10 pieces of F-rank. 30 pieces, let's be friends. Now that's a real big shot. Trading away C-rank treasure wood like it's nothing. Can't even imagine the quality of that territory. Beep, beep, beep. Hundreds of friend requests flooded in all at once, and they kept surging. I wasn't the least bit surprised. Nobody's a fool. Everyone knew what it meant to be able to pull out C-rank treasure wood at a time like this. Add a friend, and it was a guaranteed win. Out of the pile of requests, I picked the one offering 30 pieces of F-rank timber. Leon Cohen. 30 pieces of F-rank, worth about 150,000 at Earth prices, traded for one C-rank Green Plains fir. An even exchange. Leon Cohen. 30 pieces of F-rank timber for your Green Plains fir. Deal? Me deal. I initiated the trade. Leon Cohen reacted fast, dropping 30 pieces of F-rank red oak into the slot in a heartbeat. I hit confirm. Done. Lost. Green Plains fir X1. Gained. Red oak X30. Leon Cohen. Anytime you need timber, come find me. I'll make sure you're satisfied. Me got it. Somewhere in another world, at a logging camp. Leon Cohen sat atop a mountain of stacked timber, fingers trailing gently over the Green Plains fir he'd just acquired, unable to hide the excitement on his face. This Zhou Yun, no telling whether he's genuinely dumb or just drowning in so many resources he's got nowhere to put them. Trading away C-rank timber this early in development. Doesn't he know this is a must-have for building a hero tavern down the line? But hey, good for me. Without fools like him, where would I get such a bargain? Gather 20 more into a set, push my lord level up to 5 to unlock the blueprint, and I can build the hero tavern. Once I summon my first hero, who's left to challenge me for the title of this generation's #1 lord? After getting the red oak, I didn't start building on the spot. Instead, I had Big Bear lead me to find an open clearing. I say open, but it was only 100 square meters or so. Still, in a forest crammed with towering trees, that was already rare. Exploring farther out would cost time and might run me into unknown risks. Not worth it. This'll do. On the east side of the clearing, I used the blueprint for a militia conversion station. A flash of golden light, and a pale gold frame rose out of thin air. Fill it with timber, and the progress would advance. The heavy lifting, I left to Big Bear. Roar! Big Bear reared up, patted its chest to show me its enthusiasm, then hoisted the red oak and got to work. The first log went in, and a progress bar popped up. Construction progress 5%. Estimated 20 minutes. Only 20 minutes? That fast. I blinked, then let it go. Big Bear was a B-rank Schwanta bear with 26 strength at just level 2. Its stats crushing those of an ordinary militia unit. Of course it worked fast. The charm of high numbers. Made sense. Squee, squee, squee. The slimes wanted to help too, darting around the frame, hopping around the logs. But their stats were too low. A dozen of them together couldn't budge a single log. Roar! Roar! Big Bear, hauling the next log, caught sight of this, planted both paws on its hips, and grinned, wearing the look of someone mocking them for not knowing their own limits. Squee! The slimes instantly wilted, their little faces drooping. Big Bear! I scolded it softly, stepping forward to pat the slimes in comfort. Weak these little things were, but lively and adorable. Even a slightly higher stat line, and I'd have wanted to convert them. Squee, squee. A little coaxing from me, and they perked right back up, bouncing around me. 20 minutes later. Congratulations. You have successfully built a militia conversion station X1. Militia conversion station attracts nearby creatures of the same type and converts them into militia. Designate as Schwanta Bear Militia Conversion Station. Yes. A wooden sign with a cartoon Schwanta Bear hung on the station's door. I nodded, satisfied. This step had been the right call. Chopping high-rank timber drained stamina, so I traded C-rank timber for ordinary timber, saving a mountain of labor and speeding up construction. On the surface, it looked like a losing trade, but it was actually a sure win. And with the Schwanta Bear Conversion Station, the Schwanta Bears in the surrounding area would be drawn in endlessly and converted into militia. The snowball was rolling now. So many lords couldn't find suitable militia at the start and had no choice but to become beasts of burden themselves. But I'd started off with a B-rank Big Bear, and down the line, I'd have a whole pack of bears doing the work for me. At this pace, I'd leave them all in the dust. I was still lost in the fantasy when a violent wind kicked up. The trees all around bent double. The freshly built conversion station groaned and creaked. Big Bear lunged in front of me, growling again and again toward the north. And the slimes, they got swept clean off their feet by the gale. A chill ran through me. This wind wasn't natural. Some powerful creature was closing in at incredible speed. Screech! A ringing bird cry. A red dot appeared in the sky, like a shooting star, and in an instant it crashed into the air right above my head. A searing gale swept through, and the thick trees let out groans of unbearable strain. Big Bear dug all 4 claws into the ground, yet still got blown steadily backward, gouging 4 deep furrows into the earth. Under its protection, I was unharmed. But the danger hadn't passed. Less than 100 meters away, atop a treetop, a magnificent great bird cloaked in fiery red feathers was staring at me. Just meeting its gaze, I went cold to the bone. Whether I lived or died was not in my hands at all. If I could run into a B-rank big bear, then there had to be something higher ranked out there. I'd anticipated it. I just hadn't expected it this soon. Scan. If I was going to die, I'd die knowing why. At its speed, if it truly wanted me dead, I couldn't escape even with wings. So then, know the enemy and know myself, and gamble on that sliver of a chance. Blazing Sun Divine Bird. Rank SSS. Level. Strength. Endurance. Speed. Talent. Skill. Description. Beloved of the sky and the sun, a proud divine bird of flame. It will never permit any creature to offend its majesty. My heart pounded wildly. Aside from a scant few entries, everything else was question marks. Unable to scan. That meant the gap in power between us was so vast my scan couldn't even read it. And its rank. SSS. I remembered clearly. The strongest creature known to serve any lord on earth was only S. Even the disaster beasts that had plagued the world for 300 years, their beast king was no more than SS. Yet I'd been in my territory for how long? And I'd already run into an SSS? Just what kind of world was this? Could it be? A 9S territory had truly given birth to a 9S creature? On Earth, a single SS disaster beast could overpower an army of 10,000 humans. What kind of terror would a 9S existence be? I didn't dare even imagine it. Hick! Just as I was reeling in horror, the Blazing Sun Divine Bird let out a burp. A ball of raging flame shot out along with it. The fire swelled against the wind, and in the blink of an eye, it burned a huge swath of forest to the south flat to the ground. Scree! Having finished its burp, it seemed much more comfortable, its cry ringing a shade clearer. It shot me another glance, flapped its wings, turned into a fiery red shooting star, and vanished into the western horizon. Long after it was gone, I was still standing rooted in place, cold sweat streaming. Close. That was so close. It was proud. It hadn't intended to kill me. But that burp of its, if the direction had been off by even the slightest bit, I'd be ash right now, just like that stretch of woods. Squee. The slimes came bouncing back, each one carrying more or less an injury, looking utterly pitiful. Squee squee. A few fire element slimes suddenly leapt sky high, excitedly pointing me toward that scorched earth to the south. You want me to go check it out over there? Squee squee squee. They got even more excited, hopping along in front to lead the way. Big Bear and I followed, half in doubt. The slimes had a sharp sense of danger. If they dared head that way, there probably wasn't much risk. We didn't go far before we arrived. The once verdant woods were now a stretch of blackened char. I shook my head. In a situation like this, even if something was here, it'd be burned to nothing, wouldn't it? And the closer to the center, the higher the temperature. I was still far from the heart of the burn zone, yet already pouring sweat, the ground beneath me like a red-hot iron plate, terrifyingly scorching. Squee, the fire element slimes didn't rush me, just hopped on in by themselves. They feared neither fire nor heat. This environment had zero effect on them. They hopped a long way farther, shrinking to a tiny red dot in my eyes, before finally stopping. Then they started digging. They dug for a good while, then suddenly burst into a chorus of joyful cheers, cradling a fiery red crystal as they bounced back to me. You brought me all this way just to find this. Squee squee. It shoved the crystal into my palm. The feel of it, the look of it, everything about it gave off something extraordinary. Scan. Blazing Sun Breath Crystal. Rank S. Description. A crystal of murky fire from within the Blazing Sun Divine Bird's body. A one-time throwing item. Upon detonation, deals 1,000 fire damage per second within its range, lasting 10 seconds. Recycle value, 200,000 gold. I sucked in a sharp breath. 1,000 per second, lasting 10 seconds. Big Bear, with 33 endurance, by the formula of health equals endurance times 10, had all of 330 HP, and it counted as thick-hided and tough. Yet even Big Bear, before a thing like this, wouldn't last a single second. Swish. I stashed it into my lord's space at lightning speed. Something this dangerous, holding it a moment longer felt too hot to handle. Then I looked at the fire element slimes, chests puffed up, waiting for praise, and I couldn't help but smile. This time, they'd rendered a great service. A competent lord holds clear rewards and punishments as a basic principle. Limited as my resources were, I still had to give them something. Clatter. I dumped out everything in my survival pack a fire element creature might find interesting. A lighter, a flashlight, compressed biscuits, energy jellies. Anything you like? Take your pick. Squee. The slime stared at this pile of oddly shaped things, eyes practically spinning, faces full of indecision. Not one of them interested? I felt a little let down. Just then, one fire element slime locked onto the energy jelly, and with great certainty, stuck out a stubby limb and gave me a firm nod. Squee. You went with the jelly in the end? I laughed. Figured. Slimes were soft and springy, just like jelly themselves. Choosing the jelly was unexpected, yet made perfect sense. Here, give it a taste. I peeled one open and held it out to the fire element slime. It looked left, looked right, then suddenly leaped, engulfing the whole jelly, wrapper and all, its body wriggling for a moment as if chewing. Tooey. The plastic wrapper got spat out, the jelly inside gone. Squee. It squinted its eyes, wearing a look of pure bliss. The next moment, its body began to glow. Its wounds vanished at a speed visible to the naked eye. I froze. I might never have eaten pork, but I'd seen pigs run. That glow, it was a level up. But I still couldn't believe it. Every known creature leveled up by grinding experience through battle. Leveling up from eating a jelly? Unheard of. Good thing I had my scan. Water element slime. Rank F, level 4. Originally level 3, now level 4. It really had leveled up. Could it just have been sitting right on the threshold of a level up? With the facts staring me in the face, I still couldn't quite believe it. Leveling up from eating a jelly was too absurd. I peeled open a second one to verify. But the moment I opened it, another slime nearby suddenly leaped up and gulped it down in one go. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Before long, a golden level up glow lit up on its body too. A quick scan confirmed it. Level 4. Not a coincidence. It was the jelly. My heart quickened. I fed the same slime 3 more jellies in a row. 3 of them down, and it shot straight from level 4 to level 7. A path I never imagined. I looked at the slime, burping away, wanting more but unable to fit any in, as thought after thought sprang up in my mind. Slimes had low stats, and F-rank monsters had poor growth. One level up meant only a single point of gain. But leveling them up was absurdly easy. 1 jelly, 1 level. And energy jellies cost 30 yuan apiece. Pricey compared to ordinary jelly, sure, but by no means a luxury. 30 yuan for 1 point of stats. Any lord who learned of that exchange rate would go mad with joy. As long as I was willing, I could supply jellies without limit and let the slimes grow like crazy. There were only 2 constraints. The space for hauling supplies from Earth in a single trip and the slime's appetite. Any single slime got full after 4, and how long it took to digest was still unclear. But that was already enough. I'd stumbled onto a path to rapidly stacking combat strength. Still, there was no rush right now to go collecting slimes as militia everywhere. I'd only just entered my territory. The top priorities were raising my level, unlocking blueprints, getting the framework up, and steadily surviving these 7 days. Besides, I didn't have that many jellies to feed them right now. Per the original plan, build residences. Both the residence and the militia conversion station were blueprints that came standard at level 1. The station gathered militia. The residence managed loyalty. If militia went hungry or had nowhere to rest, their loyalty would drop. Drop it far enough, and they'd either riot or run. Most crucial of all, gather a set of 1 residence and 1 conversion station, and I could hit level 2, unlocking the lumber mill, mine, and granary. Building a residence likewise took 20 pieces of timber. Big Bear once again took up the role of lumberjack. Creak, creak, crash. Another green plains fur hit the ground. I collected the timber and contacted Leon Cohen. Lost, green plains fur X1. Gained, red oak X30. Big Bear didn't rest, launching straight into construction. 20 minutes later. Congratulations. You have successfully built a residence X1. Residence restores +5 health and +5 loyalty to militia each night. Capacity 0/4. Right after, golden light surged up for me. Completed residence X1 and militia conversion station X1. Successfully advanced to level 2. Skill learned, combat sync. Lord space expanded. Lumber mill, mine, and granary blueprints unlocked. Level up. I immediately opened my panel. Zhou Yun. Level 2. Strength 7. Endurance 6. Wisdom 8. Spirit 17. Speed 7. Skills, scan, combat sync. Blueprints, residence, militia conversion station. Subjects, Schwanta Bear X1. Then I open the new skill. Combat sync. Select 1 subject under your command and sync their stats to the Lord themselves. Cooldown, 5 days. Finally, some ability to protect myself. I immediately used combat sync on Big Bear. In an instant, A surge of vast vitality and strength poured into my body. Just as I was immersed in it, the slimes playing off in the distance suddenly came sprinting toward me in a panic. The undergrowth behind them stirred, and 3 enormous cauliflowers came charging out. I say cauliflowers, but they were actually some unknown creature. They had hands and feet, but their bodies and heads looked exactly like the cauliflower I knew. Squeak! A water slime shrieked, dodging the cauliflower's gaping maw by a hair's breadth. I understood at once. These cauliflowers wanted to eat the slimes. That wouldn't do. The slimes were the first creatures I'd laid eyes on in this world. They'd helped me, and they were subjects I meant to take in later. Big Bear. Roar! Big Bear charged in. Cha-cha-cha. The 3 cauliflowers, utterly unafraid, spun into motion first, their whole bodies whirling like tops. Bam! Big Bear knocked one flying with a single palm, but it too took several slashes from the spinning leaves. Its glossy black fur instantly stained red. My heart ached for it. Big Bear, fall back. I drew a long saber from my lord's space and lunged at the remaining 2 cauliflowers. The saber whirled like a windmill in my hands. I closed in and swept down a diagonal slash. Clang! A crisp ring like clashing metal. The instant the 2 cauliflowers were struck, they spun at high speed, their leaves hard as iron. Before combat sync, I might not have been able to cut through them. But now, my strength was 26. Clang! After a brief deadlock, the blade swept across both bodies, and green sap gushed out. At that moment, the cauliflower that had been knocked flying circled around behind me and abruptly began to spin. Not good. My move was overextended, too late to change form and dodge. Just as I was about to tank it with my 33 endurance, Big Bear's furious roar erupted. Roar! Its massive frame swallowed me up in an instant. Boom! Dust exploded outward. I flew back and turned to look. The ambushing cauliflower had already been pinned firmly into the earth by Big Bear. Its left arm had taken a fresh wound too. What? Big Bear, wounded in both paws, didn't retreat. Its fighting spirit only blazed hotter. With a roar, it reared up on its hind legs, both palms slamming down in alternation. Bam! 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 Chain palm strike. By the time the skill finished, the cauliflower on the ground had already completed its regression from 3 dimensions to 2. Big Bear still wasn't satisfied, its eyes fixing on the other 2 dying cauliflowers. That's enough. I hurriedly called a stop. These 2 were already weakened, so the conversion success rate would be high. Their combat strength couldn't match Big Bear's, but that spinning cut of theirs was quite the highlight. Whoa! Big Bear, savage a second ago, obediently withdrew and crouched down to lick its wounds. I flicked 2 conversion talismans at the 2 cauliflowers. Successfully converted a cauliflower beast into a militia unit. Successfully converted a cauliflower beast into a militia unit. Acquired without a hitch. Only then did I check their stats. Cauliflower beast. Rank C, level 4. Strength 18. Endurance 14. Speed 15. Talent. Fruit vegetable master. Crop yield plus 15% when growing fruits and vegetables. Skill. Spinning leaf blade. Loyalty. 63. Description. Seemingly harmless, but with lethal tricks hidden within. Loves eating fruits, vegetables, and slimes. I nodded. Both rank and stats were a notch below Big Bear. But that talent, fruit vegetable master, meant that once I built orchards and vegetable gardens down the line, they'd make ready-made estate managers. The only issue was that loyalty of 63, a bit low. Below 60, and there was a risk of them running off. The low number was most likely because of the comrade of theirs that had been flattened into 2 dimensions. Squee. The rescued water slimes circled around Big Bear, as if thanking it, and also as if worried about its wounds. Before long, as if they'd found some new goal, they left one after another. I didn't pay it any mind. They weren't my subjects, after all. They were free to do as they pleased. Big Bear, on the other hand, was hurt badly enough that putting it back to work wasn't appropriate. The 2 cauliflower beasts were injured too, and with their loyalty already low, forcing them to labor would only make it plummet further. Having spent 2 talismans to acquire them, I couldn't do something as foolish as killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. Thinking it over and over, the only labor I had available right now was myself. Fine, let's work. I applied medicine to all 3 of them, then grabbed the axe and got ready to chop trees. But then, grumble grumble, Big Bear's stomach let out a strange noise. Meeting my gaze, it scratched the back of its head a little sheepishly and licked its lips with its tongue. It was hungry. I silently cursed my own oversight. Intense activity drains stamina the most. Big Bear had chopped trees, built structures, blocked the wind, and fought a battle on top of it all. How could it not be hungry? Pick whatever you like. I laid out the food. It rummaged with its paws for a good while, but chose nothing, the corners of its mouth drooping. Clearly none of it suited its taste. You're a picky bear too? I was amused. If food were plentiful, picky was fine. But right now there was no room to be picky. Make do with this for now. I tore open a bar of compressed biscuit and handed it over. Well, Big Bear, as my very first subject, was genuinely obedient. The compressed biscuit obviously didn't suit its taste, yet it still took it dutifully, just eating with a look of pure reluctance. Only after 10 bars did it recover part of its stamina. I watched tongue-tied. That appetite was beyond imagination. If I didn't solve the food problem soon, then even though the supplies I'd brought counted as ample, they wouldn't last many days. Per the description, Big Bear loved eating fish and honey. Honey was hard to find, and fish meant first finding a river. As for the two cauliflower beasts, they ate fruits, vegetables, and slimes. Slimes were of course out of the question, but fruits and vegetables I could figure something out. My gaze shifted between the slimes and the cauliflower beasts, and I made a decision. A conversion talisman shot toward that level, 7 fire element slime, the biggest one, successfully converted a fire element slime into a militia unit. Squeak! Surprised and delighted, it bounced up and down around me, thrilled beyond measure. The other slimes watched it, envy written all over their chubby faces. Ha ha! I patted its warm little head. Just as I thought, these slimes had superb compatibility with me. As long as I wanted them, they were all willing to follow me. I named it Big Fire. The two cauliflower beasts, I called one Veggie 1 and the other Veggie 2. Big Fire, take Veggie 1 and Veggie 2 and go gather fruit from the surrounding area. Squeak! Big Fire was raring to go. Veggie 1 and Veggie 2, meanwhile, hung their heads listlessly. I nodded. Big Fire was a slime, with strong danger sense, able to steer clear of trouble. Veggie 1 and Veggie 2 fed on fruits and vegetables, so finding them came naturally. A perfect gathering team. And everywhere they went would be marked onto my Lord map. If they ran into a river, I'd know at once. The cauliflower beast's rations were thus taken care of. Big Bears. I'd take it one step at a time. If all else failed, I'd try my luck on the Lord network, though I didn't hold out much hope. Food was a lifeline for any Lord at the start. All right, to work. To reach level 3, I needed to gather a set of 5 residences, 3 conversion stations, 1 lumber mill, 1 mine, and 1 granary. Every one of them required timber. I rolled up my sleeves and swung the axe. The sun sank in the west, and the blurred outline of the moon crept up the other side of the sky. This planet, like Earth, had day and night, sun and moon. Relying on Big Bear's synced stats, I chopped a full 7 green plains firs and traded them back for 90 pieces of ordinary timber. Combined with what I had left over, it was enough to build one each of a conversion station, a lumber mill, a granary, and a residence in one go. The conversion station was prepared for the fire element slimes. Since I'd taken in Big Fire, I might as well happily accept the other fire slimes along with it. The lumber mill boosted harvesting efficiency, the granary stored grain, and the residence was to guard against having nowhere to house the surge of subjects to come. Once all that was done, my stamina and energy had both bottomed out. Stamina could be restored by eating. Energy, at this stage, could only be recovered by sleeping. As for Big Bear, both its front paws were injured, so it wouldn't be able to work for a while. Just then, the gathering team returned. They didn't disappoint. 2 woven sacks brimming with fruits of an unknown kind. The cauliflower beast's food was set for the short term. Only, they hadn't found a river, nor a beehive. Big Bear's food remained a tough nut to crack. If worse comes to worst, I'll have Big Bear go look for itself tomorrow, I calculated. Since it loves fish and honey, it should have some locational sense for finding them. But it's the strongest one. Sending it off to find food means territory construction gets delayed. As I was wrestling with this, that flock of water slimes that had left at midday came back. They came bouncing up to Big Bear, then their bodies suddenly contracted. PTTH. 2 streams of pale golden liquid shot out, striking the wounds on Big Bear's 2 front paws dead on. The next second, Big Bear's wounds actually healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Whoa! Big Bear let out an excited roar toward the sky. For a whole afternoon, wounded paws and all, it could only watch me work, unable to lend a hand. Now, with its freshly healed paws, it pounded its chest, slap, 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 declaring to me, "I'm back in action." Haha, I was delighted too. With Big Bear's injury, I hadn't just lost a laborer, but my strongest combat force. Only with it healed did the stone in my heart finally settle. Veggie 1 and Veggie 2, seeing Big Bear healed, got excited too. vigorously shaking the leaves atop their heads at the water slimes. The water slimes bore no grudges, despite the fact that the cauliflower beasts had nearly made a meal of them, and healed the two just the same. In a flash, both cauliflower beasts were restored as good as new. Watching this, my curiosity was piqued. This golden liquid had a healing effect. Why hadn't I seen them use it before? The scan results also showed this wasn't a skill of theirs. So then, in all likelihood, they'd obtained it out there on this trip. The question was, where had they gotten it? If I could find the source of this golden liquid, then what would there be to fear about injuries down the road? And more importantly, this flock of water slimes had deliberately gone out and deliberately come back to save Big Bear. They were repaying a kindness. Not knowing whether the water slimes could even understand me, I just asked outright, "Where did you get the golden liquid?" Strangely enough, that water slime blinked its eyes, wearing a thoroughly puzzled look. Yet once I'd finished speaking, it actually stuck out a little limb and tugged at the leg of my trousers. The direction it tugged was exactly the way they'd left yesterday. "You want to take me there?" Squee. Squee. It nodded again and again. Something stirred in me. The wisdom on the panel wasn't fully equivalent to intelligence, but it reflected some of it. A slime's wisdom was only one, so its intelligence couldn't be very high. Yet this one seemed a little different. I flicked a scan over it, and sure enough, mutated water element slime. Rank F, level 3. Wisdom, 10. My head was full of question marks. Right after I'd woken, I'd scanned every slime around me, one by one, all uniformly showing 1. This mutated one with wisdom 10 had definitely not been there at the time. Had it mutated during this period, or was it a new companion that had joined along the way? I couldn't say for sure. Over these 2 days, the various slimes had each grown by an average of 2 or 3 in number. But it didn't matter. Given the absurdly high compatibility between me and them, the appearance of this mutated slime could only be a good thing. It's too late today, we'll go tomorrow. Good as the golden liquid was, the sun was about to set. I still had no idea whether the nights on this planet held dangers, and moving in the dark was even less safe. Squee. It seemed to genuinely understand, and no longer insisted. Night fell. I wasn't clear on whether the creatures of this world favored light or feared it, so I didn't dare light a torch. I arranged for Big Bear, Veggie 1, and Veggie 2 to take turns standing watch, and called Big Fire to my side. Slimes had strong premonition, natural alarm bells. That night was destined to be a sleepless one. Whether it was being a stranger in a foreign land or nerves stretched taut, I never truly slept the whole night through. Exhausted, I'd doze off for a moment, then jolt awake again. Only when the morning light spilled down did I let out a breath of relief. But just as I rose and stretched, a black shadow emerged from the forest to the northwest. Big Bear, Veggie 1, Veggie 2. They answered the call and came out of the house. To my surprise, Big Bear showed no hostility at all. Instead, it charged joyfully toward the black shadow. Big Fire showed nothing amiss either. I glanced at the Schwan to Bear conversion station, and it clicked. A false alarm after all. The black shadow stepped out from the shade of the trees, and lo and behold, it was a Schwan to Bear, drawn in by the conversion station. From the affectionate way it acted with Big Bear, the two of them seemed like old acquaintances. Without any prompting from me, it walked into the conversion station on its own. When it came out, it was already my new militia unit. Successfully converted a Schwan to Bear X1 into a militia unit via the Schwan to Bear conversion station. From now on, I'll call you Bear 2. I continued my crude and simple numeric naming scheme. Whoa, Bear 2 nodded. Compared to the bold and sweeping Big Bear, it was considerably more reserved. Its stats were identical to Big Bear's, both at level 4. Combat strength thickened by another big margin. After breakfast, I mustered all my forces and set out following the mutated water slime. The goal, the golden liquid. I considered leaving someone to guard the base. But rebuilding low-tier structures wasn't hard, and the lives of my militia were more precious. Going all in this time made sense. Good stuff like that was most likely guarded by a powerful enemy, and too few hands wouldn't be safe. With the danger-sensing slime leading the way, and Schwan to Bears and cauliflower beasts guarding the flanks, the whole journey went surprisingly smoothly. Veggie 1 and Veggie 2 even gathered some fruit and greens along the way. We walked for nearly an hour. Along the route, we ran into several groups of creatures, but before we could make any move, they all fled first. If not for that blazing sun divine bird yesterday, I'd have started thinking this world was so peaceful it held no dangers at all. A little farther on, my eyebrows shot up. The sound of flowing water. Before I could even move, Big Bear and Bear 2's ears had already pricked straight up, and they charged over, all 4 paws flying. We crested a small slope, and a river about 5 meters wide appeared before our eyes. Whoa! Big Bear let out a whoop and plunged into the river with a splash. Bear 2 followed right behind. Before long, the two of them broke the surface, a fish clutched in each paw and another gripped in their mouths. However inexpressive a bear's face may be, there was no hiding that joy, Big Bear especially, its eyes squeezed into slits. It had finally found something it loved to eat. I was happy for it. But then, I realized something was off. The fish they'd caught weren't quite ordinary. Why were they faintly glowing? I flicked a scan over them. Cool carp. Rank F. Level 1. Talent. Chill out. Continuously emits 0 degrees Celsius cold air. Description: a go-with-the-flow fish. As long as its surroundings are comfortable, it has virtually no sense of danger. I was stunned. The fish Big Bear and Bear 2 had caught had actually entered the rank system. The cool carp's stats weren't necessarily stronger than a slime's, but being ranked versus unranked were two entirely different matters. On Earth, the vast majority of plants and animals were unranked, good only as ingredients or materials. But something ranked, even without a skill, came with a talent of its own. Fight with it, and it accrued experience and gained stats. Use it to make potions or forge equipment, and the effects were far greater. Precisely because of this, ranked items on Earth were forever in short supply. They were produced almost exclusively in various lords' territories, and lords never had enough for themselves. Who would be willing to sell them off? But here with me, the trees I chopped at random were C-rank green plains firs. And now the fish serving as Big Bear's rations were ranked monsters too. In this world, did anything even exist that wasn't ranked? No, wait. My gaze sharpened. If even the fish are ranked, then the fruits and greens Veggie 1 and Veggie 2 gathered. I flicked out a few scans in a row. Sure enough, every single fruit, every single leaf of greens, all ranked. Extravagant, far too extravagant. Stuff like this was being casually chewed up as snacks. Back on Earth, how many people would jab their fingers at me and curse me for wasteful sacrilege? Made into potions, the value multiplied more than tenfold. Every bit of it was a precious resource for fighting the disaster beasts. Rawr! Big Bear and Bear 2, unconcerned with whatever I was thinking, were already eating with relish. I instinctively moved to stop them, then gave a self-mocking laugh. Earth was Earth, and Planet Zero was Planet Zero. Earth's resources were meager, but this place was rolling in wealth, ranked things blanketing the ground. Why should I be stingy? Worst case, I'd gather a bit more before returning to Earth. For this territory that stretched beyond sight, however much I gathered was but a drop in the bucket. The thought worked through my mind, and my whole body felt at ease. I reached back into Veggie 1's sack, grabbed a fruit, and took a bite. Juice burst everywhere, crisp and sweet. Delicious. Since I was already here, of course I had to stock up on plenty of fish. Once Big Bear and Bear 2 had eaten their fill, I immediately directed them to get to work. The two of them were natural catchers to begin with, and now with stamina fully topped off, their efficiency was maxed out. In under half an hour, 200 fish were in the bag, packing my post-upgrade, expanded Lord space to the brim. Once I'd stocked up on fish, I didn't forget the real business, and had the mutated water slime keep leading the way. Squee, squee. It gestured toward the upstream. You mean, in the cave up on the mountainside? Squee. It nodded emphatically. The mountain wasn't tall. In about a quarter of an hour, we arrived before the cave mouth on the mountainside. I spotted the oddity of the river water at a glance. The downstream water was merely clearer and cooler, nothing more. But this stream flowing out of the cave clearly shimmered with a faint layer of gold. And that touch of gold most certainly did not come from sunlight. Squee, the mutated slime took the lead into the cave, beckoning me to follow. But no sooner had I entered the cave, my eyes not yet adjusted to the dimness within, than a soft, cold something suddenly threw itself into my arms. It was the slime that had been leading the way. It was trembling violently all over, as if it had run into something utterly terrifying. Big Fire had curled into a ball too, hiding behind me. Fall back. An omen of danger detonated in an instant. But it was already too late. Swish. A cold gleam abruptly appeared before my eyes. My heart lurched, and I violently jerked my head aside. The cold light grazed past my ear, a hair's breadth away. Before I could catch my breath, another cold gleam broke through the darkness from the front left, striking straight for my waist. Off. This time I saw it clearly, and kicked out. Bam! It connected, forcibly knocking its trajectory off course. Seizing the opening, I retreated at speed out of the cave. But the two cold gleams refused to let go, one left and one right. Clinging like a disease gnawing at the bone, like two venomous snakes bent on strangling me. Roar! Big Bear and Bear 2 at the cave mouth lashed out simultaneously. PTTH, PTTH, PTTH. In the blink of an eye, the two of them gained several wounds, yet hadn't so much as touched the hem of their opponent's garments. Move! I drew my saber and met them, clearing a retreat path for the bears. From just that instant of exchange, I understood. Our opponent's strength fell short of Big Bear and Bear 2's, but their combat skill was more than a cut above. In a head-on clash, we had no chance of winning. And it was right then, borrowing the light outside the cave, that although they still shrank back into shadows, I finally saw them clearly. Those two cold gleams were two slender, narrow swords. The wielders were two humanoid creatures wearing wide-brimmed hats, figures shaped just like drawing compasses, wrapped in blue-purple Roman-style robes. A thoroughly aristocratic air about them. Clang, clang, clang. I forced myself to the utmost, hard-blocking 3 strikes, and glimpsed that Big Bear and the others had followed my order and pulled back. Only then did I immediately borrow the momentum to break free. I'd worried I'd be caught for lagging in speed, but fortunately, though the two swordsmen were fast, they seemed to have some reservation. They chased a short distance and then stopped. What they didn't know was that just those few moves had already stirred my interest. Scan. Water Swordsman. Rank A, Level 2. Strength 30. Endurance 26. Wisdom 20. Spirit 20. Speed 30. Talent. Formless flowing water. Reduces damage taken by 30%. Skill. Mirror Flower, Water Moon. Creates water clones that attack simultaneously. Description. A cold-blooded swordsman, born alongside water. Superb swordsmanship, outstanding speed, sweeping all before it, seldom meeting a match. An A-rank monster. Having retreated to safety, I stared at this line of data, sharp light flashing in my eyes. Both at level 2, the water swordsman, apart from being slightly inferior to the Schwanta bear in endurance and a touch ahead in strength, crushed it across the board, its speed especially, at 30, nearly double Big Bear's. No wonder the fight had been so suffocating. If they'd chased to the death, we'd have been dragged into a bitter battle for certain. And those few moves just now, they hadn't used a skill at all. Had they truly brought out Mirror Flower, Water Moon, whether I could have escaped in one piece was anyone's guess. I silently counted myself lucky, while also sensing something odd. A gentle temperament wouldn't launch a sudden ambush in the cave. A savage temperament wouldn't chase a short distance and then hold back. What's more, speed was their greatest pride. Why? I stroked my chin, and it all came together. The slime had dared to lead me into the cave, which meant that when it came yesterday, there'd been no danger inside. So these two water swordsmen had most likely moved in only recently, drawn by the golden liquid. The liquid was in the cave, so guarding their den, naturally they wouldn't chase far. Squee. The mutated slime at my feet nudged me guiltily, as if blaming itself for endangering me. I crouched and patted its head. It's not your fault. You didn't do it on purpose. Roar. Big Bear pounded its chest, glaring fixedly toward the cave, its whole face refusing to accept defeat, wanting to go another round. I know you can fight. I held it down. But not now. Let's go back and prepare. Come again another day. This trip hadn't reached the source of the golden liquid, so it counted as a setback. But I wasn't the least bit rattled. That thing had heaven-defying healing power. It was only natural that obtaining it would be a bit twisting. Not to mention, there were still 2 A-rank water swordsmen waiting in the cave. 30 speed. In my eyes, those 2 were already objects in my pocket. As for whether the golden liquid's source was finite or infinite, I didn't know. Thinking the worst, if it were finite, then my time was even tighter. The water swordsman, I would take. The golden liquid, I would have too. Back at the territory, I threw myself headlong into construction. The second conversion station had originally been meant for the fire slimes, but to stack combat strength as fast as possible, I temporarily reassigned it to the cauliflower beasts. Inferior to the Schwanta bear though it was far stronger than a slime. Add 3 more residences, 1 conversion station, and 1 mine, and that would be enough to reach level 3. Reaching level 3 would unlock the training ground. This was the second core structure after the conversion station. Train militia, accrue experience, raise levels. And if a hero was stationed there as an instructor, the effects doubled. Never mind that the water swordsman was a rank above the Schwanta bear. As long as I fed Big Bear and Bear 2's levels up, overtaking them was only a matter of time. I'd traded Leon Kuan for enough timber. The real trouble was the mine. Timber alone wasn't enough. I first had to find an ore deposit. So I left Bear 2 at home for construction and personally took Big Bear, Veggie 1, Veggie 2, and big fire out to prospect for ore. If it went smoothly, I'd build the mine and level up sooner. If not, I'd close in and spar with the wild creatures. Accruing experience wouldn't be a loss either. The idea was sound. Reality slapped me in the face. 5 hours later, I came back covered in dust and grime. On Bear 2's end, 3 residences and 1 conversion station were all built. On my end, no ore deposit found, and I hadn't even run into a single opponent worth fighting. It wasn't that I hadn't encountered creatures, it was that the moment they saw our whole lineup, they turned tail and fled. It's already the second night, and level 3 is nowhere in sight. I gazed at the darkening sky, a bit worried. I was even hoping to snatch the #1 spot on the newcomer rankings. At this pace, I probably won't even make the list. I gave a self-mocking laugh and opened the Lord Network, wanting to gauge everyone else's progress against my own. But the very first entry was someone cursing up a storm. Idiot. Absolute moron. 2 days, 2 whole days. I've turned the territory upside down, and there's not a single creature I can convert. Develop your mother. How am I supposed to develop? I burst out laughing. Not a single one to convert. That was too tragic. No militia, relying purely on the Lord to handle construction alone, held difficulty. Compared to that, I, who'd freely picked up Big Bear at the start, was practically overpowered. Just as I was thinking, someone this unlucky has to be a rare case. A new message scrolled up. Not being able to find militia, that's nothing. Take a look at me. Chased and hunted by 2 zombies right at the start. Nearly lost my life. Brother, how are you doing now? If you can send a message, you must be out of danger, right? Out of danger, my foot. I'm lying in a garbage heap playing dead. 20-some zombies wandering around me. Been holding in a crap for half the day and don't dare let it out. Good grief. 2 turned into 20-some? Your escape route is something else. Just crap when you gotta crap. Zombies don't eat crap. Not helping is one thing, but you're straight up cursing him to die. Help? If I help him, who helps me? I've been carried off to a cliff by some brain-dead eagle for nearly 10 hours now. Did I make a fuss? Why'd the eagle carry you off? Why else would I call it brain-dead? All this time, won't eat me, won't leave, just staring at me and snatching my stuff. Whatever I pull out, it grabs. Holy crap, that eagle's no dummy. It's treating you like an ATM. 99,999 begging online. Please spare me a few logs to build a residence. 2 days of getting rained on, and my brain's gone sour. Quit begging. Nobody's got it easy. Pull yourself up. Just wait. Wait for some big brother to hit level 3 first and drop a resource red packet, and we're saved. I shook my head with a smile. Each one more tragic than the last. Truth and lies hard to tell apart. Sending messages on the Lord Network, who knew how much was padded. But the Lord rankings couldn't be faked. I opened the leaderboard. Number 1 Zhou Yun. Level 2. Number 2 Hua Xianwan. Level 2. Number 3 Liang Kuan. Level 2. Number 100 Li Jijia. Level 2. Reading through the 100 names, I drew 1 good conclusion and 1 bad. Good news. I'd hit level 2 the earliest, currently sitting at number 1. Bad news. All 100 on the leaderboard were level 2. And the level 2 lords off the board who hadn't made the list were probably even more numerous. This number 1 won't be easy to keep. Every generation's newcomer ranking number 1 reward was the same, a B-rank hero summoning stone. Heroes could lead militia, could buff structures according to their traits, and their stats at the same rank far exceeded a militia unit's. Recruit 1 in the early construction phase, and the territory took off instantly. A hero, huh? I closed the Lord Network, and worn out from the day, I drifted off into deep sleep, picturing what my future hero might look like. On the morning of the 3rd day, the first thing I did upon opening my eyes was check the panel. There were changes. Schwanta bears were still 2. Cauliflower beasts had grown from 2 to 4. 2 more had been drawn in overnight and successfully converted. And fire element slimes had exploded from just big fire, 1, to 11. The fire slimes had increased the most, which didn't surprise me. Yesterday, I designated the 3rd conversion station for fire slimes, and with a flock always tailing me, that increase over 1 night was normal. Stepping out of the residence, Big Bear and Bear 2, for cauliflower beasts, 11 fire slimes, 17 militia in all, stood waiting in a neat row before the door. Far from fully formed, but this operation of mine had already taken initial shape. After breakfast, I gave a grand sweep of my hand. Everyone move out. The goal was still prospecting, but today was different. With 10 more fire slimes, the area I could spread across was much larger. I had the 10 new slimes fan out to the north in a 180-degree arc, while I took Big Fire and the main force straight north. Slimes had strong early warning, making them perfect probes to scatter out any discovery or danger, and we in the center could respond at any moment. A whole morning passed, and even with such a formation, still no or deposit found. I didn't lose heart. After lunch I turned south, spreading in the same arc. Effort rewarded. At 1:30 in the afternoon, the scattered fire slimes relayed word. The ore deposit found. A mine mountain nearly 100 meters tall, its surface layer exposing ores of every color, looking extraordinarily rich in yield. But a new problem came with it. This mountain had an owner. All over the mine, a creature covered in dark gold fur, shaped like a giant rat, roamed about. Gold-devouring rat. Rank C, level 3. Strength 7. Endurance 8. Wisdom 16. Spirit 14. Speed 20. Talent. Gold devour. Swallows or for energy and hardens its fur. Skill. Feast away. Rapid biting, dealing damage. Description. Feeds on or lives in groups. Timid and cunning. Quick to trim its sails to the wind. C rank and only 8 endurance. Hidden behind cover. I calculated rapidly. 8 endurance, 80 HP. Big Bear, Bear 2, and I, all with strength 26. 3 hits landing together made 78 damage, nearly a one-round kill. The 4 cauliflower beasts with 18 strength, attacking together for 72, could gravely wound one in a round. Got it. The plan had already taken shape in my mind. I picked a spot where the gold-devouring rats were sparse, had Big Bear, Bear 2, and the 4 cauliflower beasts lie in ambush, then sent Big Fire out to provoke. I sent Big Fire because the creatures of this world all had a measure of wisdom. If they figured they couldn't win, they'd turn tail and run. Sending the weakest, Big Fire, out front made it most likely the gold-devouring rats would take the bait. Big Fire was clearly terrified, but the order was mine, so it still gritted its teeth and inched forward. The moment it poked its head out, 6 mung-bean eyes from 3 gold-devouring rats swiveled over as one. Big Fire froze stiff in fright. After about 10 seconds of standoff, Big Fire tentatively hopped one small step forward. That step kicked the hornet's nest. In a world of the weak as prey to the strong, for the weak, even breathing was a mistake. A tiny slime, spotted and still daring to advance. Courting death, the 3 gold-devouring rats bared their ferocity and pounced together. Speed of 20 times Big Fire's. The distance closed in an instant. Chomp! The frontmost one leapt into the air, about to knock Big Fire over. How could I let it succeed? Swish! Before I'd even emerged from the trees, my blade flash had already struck out, hitting that gold-devouring rat dead on and sending it flying. I didn't linger to fight, scooping up Big Fire and retreating toward the ambush point. Chomp! The 3 gold-devouring rats gave furious chase. My 17 speed couldn't outpace their 20. Run long enough and I'd be caught. But I wasn't rattled. I was the bait meant to lure them deep in the first place, and just a short stretch ahead was the ambush zone. Running, I glanced back to confirm the distance. Something's off. The 3 gold-devouring rats chasing me were completely uninjured, not a single one. That blade of mine had clearly struck home, 26 damage. Even if it hadn't been a grave wound, it should at least have left a gash. Yet every one of them was perfectly intact. No time to think it through. The ambush point was reached. I slammed to a halt. Chomp, chomp, chomp. The gold-devouring rats pounced excitedly. At the very instant they thought they had it, bear roars erupted from both sides. Roar! For massive palms clamped in from left and right, impossible to dodge. PTTH, PTTH, PTTH. All 3 gold-devouring rats were smacked flying at once, slamming into tree trunks and sliding down. I saw it clearly. One of them took 2 palm strikes in a single brief instant. Yet the moment it hit the ground, it scrambled up in a roll as if nothing had happened. Their wrongness now confirmed. They had no more fighting spirit and spun around to flee. Not that easy. Cha! The leaves atop the 4 cauliflower beasts' heads spun into electric fans, spinning leaf blades chopping down from overhead. Clang, 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 clang. The steel-like blades struck the rats' bodies and actually burst out a clang of clashing metal. Several chops in a row, and still no wound appeared. Just as I was marveling in my heart, one of them suddenly let out a wretched shriek, blood spraying from its waist. Chomp! Seeing this, the other 2 shrieked strangely, as if their tiny universes had detonated, speed surging sharply, forcibly smashing out of the encirclement and escaping. Don't chase. I called the cauliflower beasts off, stepping up to press my blade against the gold-devouring rat that had been abandoned by its comrades, trembling like a sieve. Watching its cowardly look, curled into a ball, I truly couldn't connect it with the one that had so ferociously chased big fire moments ago. Swish. A conversion talisman shot out. Successfully converted a gold-devouring rat into a militia unit. I'd gained a militia unit, yet felt little joy. Greedy for life and fearful of death, abandoning its comrades. This character I truly couldn't bring myself to like. How much use it'd actually be in a real fight was anyone's guess. The only thing that held my interest was its defense. 8 endurance. So how had it hard-tanked so many hits without its defense breaking? I called up its panel again, my gaze nailed to the talent. Gold Devour. Swallows or for energy and hardens its fur. The talent did the work. I stroked my chin. If this hardness grows harder the more or it eats, then even without fighting spirit, relying on its defense alone, it could serve a big purpose in certain situations. Thinking it over that way, I finally managed to squeeze out a bit of approval for it. Then I had Big Bear, Bear 2, the 4 cauliflower beasts, along with this gold-devouring rat, build a conversion station right on the spot. On the spot, because I had no intention of using it long-term at all, purely to conscript the gold-devouring rats around the mine nearby. Once that was done, the mine could be built. 50 logs of timber remained, and to boost efficiency, I built 2 at once. Everyone pitched in, and in under 8 minutes 2 conversion stations were up, all designated for gold-devouring rats. Preparations complete. Next, all there was to do was wait. The next morning, the moment I opened my eyes, I checked the panel, and the result lit up my eyes. Subjects under command: Schwanta Bear X2, Cauliflower Beast X6, Fire Element Slime X15, Gold Devouring Rat X21. Overnight, Cauliflower Beasts +2, Fire Slimes +4, and Gold Devouring Rats +20. The mine's a sure thing now. Spirits high, I led all my subjects to the conversion stations, folded the 20 gold-devouring rats standing by into the ranks as well, and marched in a grand procession to the foot of the mine mountain. 21 gold-devouring rats were of course not all of them around the mountain. But so what? The remaining several dozen didn't dare come near at all, and retreated farther and farther, their timid nature laid bare. I couldn't be bothered with them. All I wanted was the mine. The mine required, besides the ore deposit, 50 logs of timber. I had only 10 left on hand, not enough. On site, I chopped 2 C-rank peach blossom woods and traded Leon Cohen for 60 logs. 20 minutes later, the mine was up, and golden level up light surged from me. Congratulations. Completed Residence X5, Conversion Station X3, Lumber Mill X1, Mine X1, Granary X1. Successfully advanced to Level 3. Skill learned. Chief promotion. Lord Space expanded. Unlocked. Blacksmith, Fence, Watchtower, Academy, Training Ground Blueprints. At that same moment, the entire Lord Network received a notice. Lord Zhou Yun, valiant and cunning, standing head and shoulders above the rest, has successfully advanced to Level 3. The instant the message went out, the Lord Network's scroll speed spiked tenfold. Heavens! Finally a big shot hit Level 3. Godfather. Congrats, Brother Yun. Felicitations, Brother Yun. Brother Yun, hurry and drop a resource red packet. Little bro really can't hold on. Brother Yun, save me. But I could no longer see any of it. Because before me, a red packet interface had popped up. Resource red packet. Once distributed, all lords within the Lord Network may claim it. Distribute? Without hesitation, I tapped yes. Don't distribute, and I'd get nothing. Distribute, and I could claim a share myself. Besides, everyone in the network was a fellow countryman. A favor that cost me nothing wasn't worth being stingy over. Tap claim. Congratulations. Obtained Gale, Sword X1. The bright red packet transformed into a long sword and dropped to the ground. I snatched it up, unable to put it down. What man doesn't love a sword? Especially one this simple and majestic, its blade patterned with exquisite mystery. Even without channeling power into it, visible currents of air flowed along the edge. One look and you knew it was no ordinary item. Under a scan, Gale Sword. Rank B. Attributes: Strength plus 20%, Speed plus 10%. Skill: Raging Wind Slash. Slashes out a wind sword chi, dealing 300% strength wind element damage to targets in its path. Cooldown 10 seconds. Description: A sword blessed by wind spirits. The wielder is ever accompanied by swift winds. Recycle value: 1,000 gold. Good stuff. With it, my strength climbed another notch, and it filled the gap of my lacking skill output. With the 20% strength boost, my strength pulled up to 31.2. Raging Wind Slash at 300%, one strike was 93.6 damage. The water swordsman had 26 endurance, 260 HP. Take one raging wind slash, and it would basically be gravely wounded, provided it could be hit. With its high speed, hitting it was easier said than done. Last time, dodging several sword strikes in a row was already the limit of my performance. Do it again, and even I had no confidence. But that didn't mean I was helpless against it. Fast as the water swordsman was, its attack wasn't high, on par with the Schwanta bear. As long as I had someone with high HP or high defense step up and briefly tangle it up, I could take it down cleanly. High HP, I didn't have on hand for the moment. But high defense. Weren't the gold-devouring rats ready-made? Yesterday's one had hard-tanked several rounds of attacks from me, Big Bear, Bear 2, and the cauliflower beasts before its defense broke through. And now I had 21. Used well, the odds of taking down the two water swordsmen were quite good. The more I thought about it, the more fired up I got. I could hardly wait to go take that pair of swordsmen and that pool of golden liquid right away. I immediately ordered everyone to move out, heading back to the water swordsman's cave. With 21 gold-devouring rats added, the team grew another size larger. The already rare wild creatures now didn't show so much as a shadow. The slimes, on the other hand, were quite content. The safer it was, the more comfortable they felt. On the way, thinking about the whole batch of newly unlocked blueprints, I contacted Leon Kuan again, wanting to trade for more timber. To my surprise, this time he politely declined. His reason was that his own timber was running critically short, and he wouldn't be trading for the short term. I didn't press. Intuition told me there was more to Leon Kuan's refusal, but I couldn't be bothered to dig into it. C-rank timber never wanted for buyers. If he wouldn't trade, I'd find someone else. Once the survival period passed and the auction house opened, trading would be more convenient. I opened the Lord Network, meaning to call out a couple of shouts. The screen was full of thanks, and the object of that thanks was, plainly, me. Thanks for the red packet, Brother Yin. I finally have subjects. I'm so moved. I pulled an E-rank sawtooth beast. Thank you, Brother Yin. I pulled a Superman compound. Huge win. Brother Yin is forever my god. Am I the only one who pulled a C-rank invisibility cloak? Haha, Brother Yin moi. Brothers, who gets it? Me, tormented on a cliff by a moronic eagle for 3 days, pulled a hang glider. I finally escaped the sea of suffering. Brother Zhou Yun, I love you. Pulled a skill book, Fireball. Big shot Zhou Yun. If there's ever anything you need from me, just say the word. I'll never refuse. I gave a small smile and typed out a line. Buying F-rank timber long-term, in large quantities, on a steady basis. Trading C-rank green plains furs for it. The instant the message went out, the chat panel was drowned in exclamation marks. A big shot appears. Caught. Brother Yin has shown up. A true god descends. Irrelevant personnel disperse. Zhou Yin? The Zhou Yun who was #1 in our school. He was #1 in our class. Yin's got my back. It's me, Akan. Big shot. Roughly how long till level 5? Will you make it before the survival period ends? At level 5, he can drop another wave of red packets. Tough, no? In all these years, I've never heard of any Lord Network seeing a level 5 red packet during the survival period. Looking down on Brother Yin? I'll smack you. I didn't reply to a single one. Message sent. I turned to watch the friend requests. I did have time while traveling, but I didn't want to burn it on idle chatter. Beep, beep, beep. Requests came one after another, and I approved none of them. The reason was simple. The messages didn't meet the bar. Even when a familiar name popped up with old classmate, add me, I swiped right past it all the same. From primary school through high school, I'd had plenty of classmates, but all nodding acquaintances. Single-mindedly focused on studying, wanting only to become a lord, I'd had no time to cultivate relationships and was distant with everyone. Beep, beep, beep. Another one, with the message, unlimited supply of F-rank timber. Take as much as you want. Big talk. I approved this Muyu right away. The reply came instantly. Muyu, thanks for your red packet. I pulled an E-rank sawtooth beast, chops wood fast. Just say how much timber you want, and I'll gather it as soon as I can. Oh, so that was the unlimited. I was a little disappointed, having thought he had ready stock on hand. Relying on chopping, there'd always be a wait. Me, how efficient is the sawtooth beast at logging? Muyu, about 20 logs an hour, can go nonstop day and night. As long as it has or for food, stamina and loyalty are no worry. Me, or for food. Muyu, there are lots of or deposits on my end, exposed or is enough to feed it. If I'm lucky and dig up high quality, or efficiency goes up further. Me, how high a quality? Muyu, haven't tested in detail, but higher is better, I'd say. High quality or boosting efficiency, something stirred in me. Wasn't this the same principle as the gold-devouring rats? Both grew their abilities by eating, or me. What's the exchange ratio? Muyu. No need. The timber's free, as much as you want. Me. That's not right. Give and take is what lasts. Muyu. Without that red packet of yours, I wouldn't even have known how to get started. This little bit is nothing. I felt a bit of a headache. Compared to this kind of personal favor, I actually much preferred clearly marked prices. But with things said to this point, refusing further would only be unfeeling. Me. Then 100 logs for now. I'll contact you again if it's not enough. Muyu. No problem, getting to work now. The timber worry was mostly gone. Otherwise, I'd have to burn C-rank green plains firs as firewood, far too extravagant and laborious to chop besides. Muyu wasn't as one and done as Liang Kuan, but not far off. Now, only one piece of real business remained. Enter the cave, take the water swordsman, retrieve the golden liquid. The success rate I gave this trip was at least 80%. Half my confidence rested on the gold-devouring rats. That hardened hide of theirs, eaten into being from or could tangle up the water swordsman for a short while without issue. The other half came from the skill newly gained at level 3. Chief promotion. Promote any subject to chief of their race, all stats +3, and gain leadership, able to lead their race in more precise operations. All stats +3 wasn't dazzling, but what I valued was the leadership. With subjects growing ever more numerous, coordinating them all myself would sooner or later exceed my grasp. With a chief for each race, I only needed to lay out the broad direction, and they could collaborate to complete the rest on their own. Combat coordination within a race would also grow more seamless, an improvement that couldn't be seen in the numbers at all. I immediately made appointments. Schwanta Bear Chief, Big Bear. Cauliflower Beast Chief, Veggie 1. Fire Slime Chief, Big Fire. Gold Devouring Rat Chief, Old Gold. As for why Old Gold and not Little Gold, the gold-devouring rats were too cowardly, so I hoped they might be a bit steadier and more seasoned. That settled it. In about 3 hours, I returned to the outside of the cave, and before entering, I assigned the tasks. Old Gold, you attack from overhead. If you can't hold, you can fall back. Veggie 1, you follow behind Old Gold, flanking from both sides. Big Bear, Bear 2, with me, on my command. Big Fire, thanks for keeping watch the whole way. Guard outside the cave and wait for good news. Everyone got it. Chomp, cha-chomp, wool. I nodded in satisfaction and swept my hand. Move, chomp, chomp. The gold-devouring rats charged into the cave mouth first. On the way I told them there were only 2 enemies inside. A mere 2, what was there to fear? Cha-chomp. The 6 cauliflower beasts followed close behind. Just as I was about to lead Big Bear and Bear 2 in, a clanging of metal came from inside the cave. Ding, ding, ding. Before I could even take comfort that the water swordsmen were still there, Old Gold's panicked rat face appeared before my eyes. It wanted to run. Get back in there. Quick of eye and foot, I kicked it back with 1 foot. It was the chief I'd promoted. If it ran, the other 20 wouldn't fight either. With no one holding the front line, the whole plan would go up in smoke. Chomp. Old Gold tumbled to the ground, yet still stubbornly tried to dart out from beside my feet. Fury flared up in me. Smack. I stomped it down with 1 foot, the Gale sword laid against its neck, my voice ice cold. Go back and fight. Otherwise, I'll butcher you. Killing intent paired with the blade's edge, and Old Gold instantly came to its senses, letting out a strange, begging cry. Seeing the chief's fate, the gold-devouring rats behind who'd wanted to slip away were cowed too, no longer daring to move. I lifted my foot, my gaze nailed firmly to it. Retreat half a step more, and I really would do it. I understood being greedy for life and fearful of death, but there had to be a limit. Running off after taking a little loss the moment it engaged? How was a subject like that supposed to be used? Fortunately, Old Gold ultimately made the right choice. It chittered a few times with its comrades, gritted its teeth, and pounced back into the cave. With the chief in, the other 20 hesitated a moment and then followed. I gave a cold snort and brought up the rear with Big Bear and Bear 2. Just as I adjusted to the dimness, the scene before me made my heart sink. All 6 cauliflower beasts were down, covered in wounds. How long had it been? In just that brief span, all 6 had gone down flat. If I hadn't kicked the gold-devouring rats back, this fight might have fallen apart on the spot. Yet even with the gold-devouring rats back, they merely followed in the cauliflower beast's footsteps, taking a one-sided beating. Ding, 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 ding. The 2 water swordsmen wove freely through the rat pack on their 30-point speed, and the gold-devouring rats couldn't touch the hem of their garments for all their desperation. It was purely their hardened hide, plus the water swordsman's not especially high strength, that let them barely reach a stalemate. Against a high-attack opponent, however many gold-devouring rats there were, it'd be over in a few blinks. SSSSSSS. One gold-devouring rat took too many hits in a short span. Its defense finally broke, and it was flung away shrieking. Though not gravely hurt, it had already curled into a ball, trembling non-stop, no longer daring to go forward. Right after, two more retreated wounded. An opening. Sharp light flashed in my eyes as I drew my sword and entered. The gold-devouring rat's retreat had conveniently cleared a gap for me to cut in, like a seamless relay. Swish. A sword all the way through, yet no sensation of contact at all. A miss. However precisely I timed it, it couldn't hold up against the water swordsman's overpowered speed. It had forcibly reacted in time. Roar. Big Bear and Bear 2 pounced in after, Bear paws swatting in succession, likewise gaining nothing. To the water swordsman, the two of them were too slow. Worse yet, once they'd figured out Big Bear and Bear 2's rhythm, they actually twisted their bodies and crashed straight in, meeting attack with attack. My heart clenched. In a true trade of blows, Big Bear and Bear 2 would surely lose. Might even be in mortal danger. Raging wind slash. At the very instant a narrow sword was about to pierce Big Bear's throat, a pale green crescent of sword chi swept out through the air, splitting it. Boom. That speed matched, even surpassed, the water swordsman's. The two swordsmen clearly hadn't expected me to have this move up my sleeve. Reacting and dodging as fast as they could, they were still grazed by the sword chi. Blue blood ran down from their flanks and shoulders. Yes. My spirits surged. A mere graze drew blood. As long as I landed a frontal hit, one strike's damage was enough to beat them into grave injury. If I could hit both with a single sweep, 3 times over, this fight was won. But it was too late. However great Raging Wind Slash's power, the cooldown was what it was. And the two swordsmen clearly didn't intend to give me another chance. Having taken a loss once, they both, without discussion, fixed on me and struck at the same time. Clang, clang. I retreated at speed, and the two swords grazed past me and pinned into the stone wall behind. I strung my nerves to the limit. In numbers, I was their inferior. In skill, I was still at a disadvantage. My only asset was reading that faint flicker of movement before they struck, predicting and dodging a beat ahead. But this foresight drained my spirit tremendously, and I didn't know how long I could hold out. Old gold. I forced out a sliver of focus and roared. That pack of gold-devouring rats had actually stopped after Big Bear, Bear 2, and I entered, standing off to the side watching the show. Chomp. Old Gold started and scrambled up, directing the rat pack to press in anew. With them sharing the fire, the pressure on me eased sharply. Having barely endured the 10-second cooldown, I picked my angle and repeated the old trick. Raging Wind Slash. Swish. Landed. Wild joy surged in my heart. One more time, and it'll be enough. But at that moment, the two water swordsmen suddenly halted. Their bodies gave a slight shudder. The next instant, one, and then another, water swordsman, looking exactly like them materialized out of thin air. Mirror Flower, Water Moon. Bad. Most likely, being wounded by me in succession had provoked them into playing for real. Sure enough, 20-some water swordsmen, now impossible to tell true from false, struck almost simultaneously. The already scarce gold-devouring rats didn't hold 2 seconds before losing all fighting ability wholesale, and then, without a pause, they all charged straight at me. Watching 20-some swords stab in at once, my pupils shrank sharply. I'd given everything against the two water swordsmen. With 20-some coming at once, what was I supposed to block them with? Just as I thought I'd hit the end of the road. Roar! Big Bear suddenly pounced in. Several water swordsmen turned to stab it, but it took no guard at all, only swinging its thick arms in raw, brute clashes. PTTH, PTTH, PTTH. In a blink, Big Bear was covered in sword wounds. Yet it had also smashed apart several clones. The water clones had none of the body's HP. The cost was that I watched its HP bar drop below 10%. Keep fighting, and it would bleed out and die. Big Bear run. Riding the gap it had torn open with its life, I took 2 sword strikes in a sorry state, barely holding on to my life. Roar. Another bear roar, and Bear 2 cut in from the flank rear. The water swordsmen had no choice but to split their attention to answer. As if infected by Big Bear, it too traded life for life. I seized this fleeting chance and pincered with Bear 2 from 2 sides. Swish, swish, swish. My head was burning, my body burning too. 1 strike per clone, 6 clones cut down in the blink of an eye. But as I stabbed at the 7th, clang, a crisp ring. My sword was parried. The real one. Alarm bells blared, and I flew back, but too late. That slender sword, like a viper chasing the heart, clung to me like a shadow. Roar! A black shadow dropped in from the side, tackling the water swordsman to the ground. Big Bear again. Its HP bar long below 10%. It not only hadn't retreated, but pressed a step further, shielding its lord with its body. Roar! On the other side, Bear 2, at the cost of being run through by a slender sword, locked both arms fiercely around another water swordsman. Its HP bar dropped instantly to nearly invisible. Ah! I roared out and shot forward like an arrow. This was the chance Big Bear and Bear 2 had bought with their lives. I would never fail them. Raging Wind Slash was still 2 seconds off cooldown, but I couldn't wait. Big Bear was chief now, 29 points after the stat boost, still 1 short of the water swordsman, and gravely wounded besides. It couldn't hold long. Bear 2 was worse, its arms being pried apart inch by inch. If I didn't strike now, both of them would die. Old Gold. Attack! I bellowed hoarse while striking with my sword. My blade stabbed into the water swordsman beneath Big Bear again and again, its blood dropping fast, but not enough. I could only reach this one. The other, and the remaining 5 clones, I simply couldn't be in 2 places at once. Chomp! At the critical instant, Old Gold finally made its choice. With a loud cry, it pounced at the water swordsman locked down by Bear 2. With the chief leading, the gold-devouring rats, whose injuries weren't heavy to begin with, swarmed up in a rush too. Smack! Big Bear could hold no longer and was kicked off. But in that same instant, my sword ran through that water swordsman's abdomen, and 2 conversion talismans were already out. Successfully converted a water swordsman into a militia unit. Successfully converted a water swordsman into a militia unit. The 2 notifications rang out in succession, but I had no mind to celebrate. I grabbed the collar of the water swordsman on the ground. The golden liquid that heals wounds. Where is it? It was my subject now, understood human speech, and raised a hand to point deep into the cave. I immediately rushed over. A fork appeared deeper in. The right was wide, faintly letting through light from outside. The left was narrow, yet rippled with a faint golden glow. Without hesitation, I chose the left. A little farther on, I saw it. Drop after drop of golden liquid fell from a conical stone on the cave's ceiling, and directly below, a bowl-sized pit had already collected half a pit of golden liquid. I threw myself at it, filling 2 small bottles left and right in turn, then sprinted back to Bear 2's side. Bear 2 was already a thread away from death. With no time to make out its wounds, I splashed a whole bottle over it. Golden light rose up, and its HP bar climbed back visibly. I splashed a bottle over the half-dead Big Bear the same way. Whoa! Big Bear sat up, its big head nuzzling insistently into my arms. Bear 2 came pattering over too, sprawling enviously beside us, wanting the same treatment. Ha! I hugged the 2 furry big heads, one on each side. The gold-devouring rats, who should have been the main force, dropped the ball right at the start and nearly collapsed the whole plan. If Big Bear and Bear 2 hadn't gone berserk at the end and turned the tide, the one who'd have been finished here today would probably have been me. If a lord died during the survival period, though they could revive on Earth, they'd be stripped of lord status and knocked back to square one. That was something I absolutely could not bear. Level up light suddenly surged from Big Bear. Right after came Bear 2, the 2 water swordsmen, the gold-devouring rats, and even the cauliflower beasts who'd flopped early on, all together. One brutal fight, and the subjects had all, without discussion, leveled up. Only after healing everyone one by one did I finally free up my hands to give this pool of golden liquid a serious look. I hadn't paid it much mind before. Healing ability wasn't rare. Many powerful lords had healing heroes or subjects under them, but those all relied on skills. Something like this, neither a skill nor anything but instantly effective, I'd never seen before. Curiosity got the better of me, and I flicked out a scan. Fountain of Youth. Rank SS. Description: heals all injuries, internal and external. Every 10 grams absorbed extends lifespan by 1 year. Recycle value: 1,000 gold per 10 grams. I froze on the spot. I'd anticipated it was special, but not this special. SS rank. They all in heals all injuries internal and external was already vicious enough. But what truly detonated was the latter half, extends lifespan. On that clause alone, its value was beyond estimation. How many top geniuses across every field on Earth, unable to advance further with their lifespans capped out, had died with regret. Take the present. That batch of lords serving as each nation's pillars, the youngest were already 80 years old. Battling disaster beasts year-round, their bodies eroded again and again by disaster chi. Even the finest medical teams couldn't stop the drain of their years. With the fountain of youth, all of this could be rewritten. My hands were trembling, because by this description, its effect was so potent that I didn't need to pour it out by the whole bottle at all. 8 or 10 drops was probably enough. Such a waste, it hurt. Not long after returning to base, Muyu's 60 logs arrived. Together with the 20 remaining, that made 80. Of the 5 blueprints unlocked at level 3, the fence and watchtower could wait. The blacksmith, academy, and training ground were all pressing matters. Training ground for leveling, blacksmith for forging equipment, academy for teaching traits, and, once a hero was stationed, could let subjects learn weakened versions of skills. But each of these 3 needed 80 logs, and the amount I had on hand was only enough to build one first. I chose the training ground. Feeding the team's levels up as fast as possible was the hard truth. What Big Bear was the first to shoulder timber and get to work. As the first subject to follow me, whatever I asked it to do, it was always first to respond. Bear 2, the 2 water swordsmen, and the 6 cauliflower beasts joined in one after another. Big Fire wasn't idle either. Slimes had little strength, but it insisted on directing all 15 fire slimes to haul timber together. As for Old Gold and the gold-devouring rats, I sent them off to mine ore. Forging equipment at the blacksmith couldn't do without ore. On the way to the ore deposit, Old Gold hung its head dejectedly. All the other subjects stayed by my side, and only it had been sent away. It felt awful about it. It couldn't say why, only vaguely sensed that Zhou Yun didn't like it, and didn't like the gold-devouring rats either. The gold-devouring rat chief under your command, loyalty decreased by 11 points. Current, 61. Loyalty dropped? I glanced at the prompt, a little surprised, but not much bothered. Old Gold's performance in that cave battle really left me unable to like it. Low was fine. If it really ran, I'd just swap chiefs, no big deal. I'd thought this gold-devouring rat race might be usable, but after one fight, I no longer held much hope beyond having them mine ore. In about an hour, the training ground was up. With timber bottomed out, the blacksmith had to be postponed. With 3 hours still before dark, I sent everyone off to gather food again. Stocking up some fruits and vegetables was never wrong, and the fish Big Bear and Bear 2 loved had run out too, so we needed to catch more. They risked their lives for me. Naturally, I'd fill their bellies. The busy third day passed into night just like that. Lying in bed, I planned ahead. The fountain of youth was precious but too far from base. My combat strength was limited, and splitting forces was ill-advised. The mine was over an hour's walk to the south, not close either. If only I had a fast, flying-type subject, both movement and message passing would be convenient. Come to think of it, strangely enough, 3 days in this world, and apart from that blazing sun divine bird, how had I not seen so much as a shadow of any other flying-type creature? Also, potent as the fountain of youth's healing was, compared to the lifespan extension, healing was practically worthless. I needed to find a healing creature as soon as possible. A hero would be best. Thinking and thinking, my eyelids grew heavy, and I fell asleep. I was asleep, but the Lord Network was lively indeed. Where are my brothers at? Come out and chat. Too worn out to chat, dead tired, going to sleep. Sleep what? It's still early. UNFTSS, UNFTSS. You guys are too much. I ran into a D-rank steelhead boar today, nearly got gored to death. Holy crap, D-rank. You can still talk. Did you convert it? Haha, got lucky. D-rank already in hand this few days in, taking off on the spot. Your own failure isn't scary. A friend's success is what stings. Great, now I can't sleep. Say, has anyone managed to add Brother Yun as a friend? I've applied dozens of times, and none went through. Right? Mine didn't go through either. Aloof handsome guys love them so. However aloof, surely he'd at least look at the network? Maybe he's lurking on the screen right now. I'm 18, female, 167 centimeters, 100 gene, a 7 out of 10 barefaced, no dating history, looking for a boyfriend like Brother Yun. That last line gave you away, sis. The brave enjoy the world. Let me post a profile too, in case he sees it. In just a short while, the Lord Network had scrolled into a matchmaking scene. Meanwhile, at a lumber mill in another part of the world, Leon Cohen sat on his bed, glaring fixedly at the screen, fist clenched until it was pale. Blame me for sending you timber and letting you seize the head start. From now on, I won't yield to you anymore. Number 1 on the newcomer rankings will definitely be mine. The morning of the 4th day of the survival period. The moment I woke, I received Mu Yu's timber mail, a full 200 logs. Good grief, 24 hours nonstop, huh? I clicked my tongue, but it genuinely relieved an urgent crisis too. Without timber in place, everything behind it was jammed. A glance at the subjects, bears, cauliflower beasts, and fire slimes hadn't grown. The water swordsman, with no timber to build a conversion station yesterday, showed no movement either. Only the gold-devouring rats had doubled from 21 to 43. Doubled, yet I couldn't feel happy. That cave scene was still vivid in my mind. Let's go collector first. I left Ashue, the promoted water swordsman chief, and Veggie 1 to lead teams building the academy and blacksmith, 100 logs each, and I just barely had enough on hand. Instructions given, I set off with Big Bear, Bear 2, and Big Fire. Over an hour later, I arrived smoothly at the mine. Chomp, chomp chomp. From far off I saw Old Gold standing on a large rock, directing loudly, and even the 22 freshly converted, unfamiliar gold-devouring rats had all been folded into the ranks, working up a storm. I was a bit surprised. Big Bear, Veggie 1, and Big Fire didn't act on their own without my orders. But Old Gold, yesterday's mining order shouldn't by rights have carried over to today, yet it had taken over on its own initiative to the end, and had conscripted the newcomers too. Its initiative was rather high. I smiled. A chief with initiative had far more upsides than down. On this point, Old Gold made me look at it in a new light. Chomp! Old Gold spotted me, hopped down off the rock, and dashed over, chattering and gesturing a whole spiel. I couldn't understand the language, but through the connection between Lord and Chief, the meaning was crystal clear. Dug up some, or wants me to see. Lead the way, then. The basic mine wasn't large, and I soon saw what it wanted to show me. Several or piles like small hills, and sorted by type at that. I reached out and collected them. Collected refined iron, F-rank, X603. Collected white ink stone, D-rank, X104. Collected crimson blood copper, D-rank, X76. Collected white Chilean silver, C-rank, X50. Collected azure crystal, B-rank, X39. I was slightly taken aback. 768 pieces overnight. And most eye-catching, 39 pieces of B-rank azure crystal. Once a material hit B-rank, it was solidly high-grade goods. Beautiful. Old Gold, well done. Credit where it's due. This time it truly satisfied me, and I wasn't stingy with praise. But I only praised it in a perfectly ordinary way, yet Old Gold froze. Right after, great big tears rolled down from its eye sockets. The gold-devouring rat chief under your command. Loyalty increased by 20 points. Current, 81. I was stunned. Up 20 at once. Just because I praised it once? Before I could think it through, Old Gold had already wiped its face and run back to its post, directing even more strenuously than before, clearly with several notches more drive. Something in me softened, and I laughed despite myself. It seemed Old Gold wasn't as bad as I'd earlier concluded. Watching the ore hauled out of the cave piece by piece, I suddenly remembered Muyu. She'd said the sawtooth beast could boost efficiency by eating high-grade ore. I casually sent 5 pieces of azure crystal over. See if you can use these ores. Instant reply. Muyu. B-rank. 5 pieces. Me. Yeah, can you use them? Muyu. Of course. Me. Then take them. Muyu. Really giving them? You're willing. Me. Faster logging from you benefits me too. Muyu. Then I won't stand on ceremony. The next second, the 5 azure crystals were signed for. I nodded to myself. Muyu's briskness suited my taste. Crisp, no dawdling. 5 pieces of azure crystal might be a bottom-of-the-chest treasure to others, but to me they were nothing much. Holding a whole planet, my development ceiling was beyond others' imagining. Besides, this was both an investment and a return for all her free timber. Give and take was what made a relationship last. Just as I closed the interface, another prompt rang. Still her. Muyu. I always feel you're a bit of a dummy. I blinked. I gave her B-rank, and she calls me a dummy? Do I look that dumb? In a lush, gloomy forest, a creature shaped like a wild boar with a chainsaw on its head was busily sawing trees. On a tree branch not far off, a girl in a white dress swung her fair little legs, looked at the long unreplied dialogue box, and wrinkled her exquisite little nose. Call you a dummy, and you actually accept it. She gave a low chuckle. Adorably dumb. Chomp chomp. Chomp chomp. I was watching the gold-devouring rats dig, or when several suddenly came tumbling and scrambling out of the cave, shrieking in alarm. Old Gold's face immediately darkened, and it sternly barked at them to go back. It hadn't forgotten that being timid was exactly why it had earned my distaste. But those few refused to go back for anything, urgently gesturing out a whole spiel. At the same time, More gold-devouring rats poured out of the cave mouth. Old Gold's expression grew worse and worse, not because it disliked their cowardice, but because the cave situation they reported was off. It hurriedly ran up before me to relay. The section just dug into had a sudden temperature spike. There's a powerful creature sleeping inside, and it carries the aura of a dragon. My heart leapt with both alarm and delight. The alarm was that the digging had to be interrupted. Unresolved, there'd be no more ore. The delight was, it carried dragon aura. Historical experience proved again and again, anything touched by the word dragon was never weak. If I could truly convert it, my strength would surely soar. Come, take me to see. With me holding down the rear and Old Gold pressing them. However afraid the gold-devouring rats were, they had no choice but to grit their teeth and lead the way. The mine tunnel was spacious enough for them, but so cramped for Big Bear and Bear 2 that they could barely squeeze through sideways. Twisting and turning until I was nearly dizzy, the space ahead abruptly opened up 5 or 6 times wider, the temperature spiking several degrees. By here, the guiding gold-devouring rats trembled all over. Old Gold said the target was less than 50 meters further on. I swept a glance over them huddled into a trembling ball, didn't force it, and walked to the very front myself. The next moment, though, Old Gold put on a burst of speed and darted ahead of me. It made no sound, but its meaning was clear. It would lead the way. Its body was still faintly trembling, yet its steps were extraordinarily firm. Warmth stirred in me again. Able to press down its fear and walk at the very front, Old Gold had long since parted ways with the word timid. The it of now was worthy of the 2 words brave. Snore, snore. Further on, heavy snoring came through. I pressed a hand down to signal silence. From that breathing, the thing was asleep. Rounding the last bend, I finally saw it clearly. It was about 5 meters long, its head as large as an iron ball one person could barely wrap their arms around, its 4 limbs thick and sturdy, its whole body clad in crimson-red scales. Big Bear was big enough, yet this thing was several sizes bigger than Big Bear. While it slept soundly, I flicked out a scan. Scarlet Flame, Earth Dragon. Demon Beast. A rank. LV.1. Strength, 31. Endurance, 50. Wisdom, 16. Spirit, 17. Speed, 24. Talent. Scarlet Flame Subdragon Scales. Eats fire element or to stack a growable shield onto itself. Skill. Scarlet Flame Domain. Unfolds a domain within 3 meters centered on itself, continuously scorching enemies. Description. Originally a scarlet flame lizard, a subdragon species mutated from absorbing the blood of a scarlet flame wyvern. Such high endurance. Both A rank, but its overall stats clearly had the water swordsman beat, and its 50 endurance was outstanding. And this was only level 1. What would it become once grown? A fierce thing like this. To say I wasn't tempted would be a lie. And it happened to be asleep, the best moment to subdue it. I immediately flicked out a conversion talisman. Gray radiance swiftly wrapped around it. But just as I thought I was about to easily bank another great general, that radiance, far from sinking in, burst apart with a bang. The conversion failed. PFFFH. The Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon sneezed, and a pair of massive eyes slowly opened. Bad. I stared motionless at the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon, my heart sinking to the bottom. If a fight could be avoided, I truly didn't want to fight now. Its endurance was already high, its talent stacked a shield of who knew what thickness on top, and its body was hard beyond limit. To make matters worse, this mine tunnel was cramped, my sides maneuvering restricted, while its Scarlet Flame domain could unfold all the same. And Stat Sync was still on cooldown, so I couldn't borrow the Water Swordsman's stats. In a head-on clash, who'd break first was genuinely hard to say. I could only gamble that its temperament was mild and it would let us go. Clearly, I'd hoped for too much. Roar! The Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon saw our pack of intruders clearly, its pupils shrinking sharply, and roared with jaws wide. In that instant, red light blazed all around, runes flowing, the air scorching in a flash. Every breath drawn made my organs feel roasted over a fire. Scarlet Flame Domain. Fall back. I gave the order while retreating urgently. But it wouldn't let us leave, for legs pushing off, catching up in a blink, jaws opening to bite at Bear 2 bringing up the rear. Raging wind slash. Pale green sword chi struck it dead on, yet it only shuddered, and, as if nothing had happened, continued to lunge and bite. What? In my Lord vision, I saw it clearly. The HP bar didn't budge, and only that stretch of white shield behind the HP bar dropped a small notch. My heart went half cold. Its endurance was already sky high, and it was cloaked in a shield this thick. Before we ground the shield away, we'd probably be finished here first. Old gold. I drew my blade and stepped up to block it, turning to call out. No response. Old gold. Still nothing. My heart clenched, and I swept a glance back. Old gold was gone, without my noticing when. This guy? I was shocked and furious. At a speed disadvantage, there was no escaping at all. Only turning to fight head-on gave us a sliver of a chance. I'd just been about to have old gold bring the gold-devouring rats down to make a stand, and it vanished at exactly this critical juncture. Run off again? Or was there more to it? I had no time to think it through. The Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon lunged again. Boom. I twisted aside and dodged, and the mine wall behind me was smashed to rubble. Roar. Big Bear and Bear 2 roared and struck from both sides, hammering palm after palm. But after only a few strikes, one left-right swing of its body sent the two brothers staggering back. Can't hold. Retreat. Its strength and speed both had us beat. Head-on there was no answer. Worse still, inside the Scarlet Flame domain, our HP was dropping visibly, 3 points per second. With endurance this low, without taking a single one of its hits, just soaking in the domain, we couldn't last 2 minutes. Only Big Fire, immune to fire damage, circled about in a Fred off to the side, yet took not the slightest harm. Over there, using the gap of a dodge, I retreated toward a narrower side tunnel. If I couldn't win head-on and couldn't dodge the domain, then at least I'd trap its body. Boom. It gave desperate chase, its enormous body squeezing into the narrow passage, and finally could only barely move. Big Bear, your turn to hold. Roar. Big Bear stepped up on command. I scooped up Big Fire, grabbed Bear 2, and retreated out of the domain's range. This was the best solution I could think of, since the domain's damage couldn't be dodged, then take turns eating it. Me, Big Bear, Bear 2 rotating up front to tank, the rest slipping out of the domain in the gaps, fighting while retreating. If I remembered right, retreating a stretch further, there was an extremely narrow gap ahead. There, perhaps I could jam it in for good. That was the only chance. Otherwise, I'd have only the worst resort left. Use the Fountain of Youth to sustain and grind it out. But I had only one small bottle of the stuff on me. Its output was tiny, and I had no idea whether it'd be enough. Roar. Big Bear's forearm was bitten, a chunk of flesh torn clean off, and it cried out in pain. It had only held a moment, and its HP bar had already dropped to 30%. Yet the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon's white shield had lowered only a small notch. Fighting and retreating like this, Big Bear, Bear 2, and I each tanked around, falling into grave injury one after another, pulled back only barely by the Fountain of Youth. But there was still no short distance to that narrow gap. At that moment, was it a hallucination? I heard Old Gold's cry. Chomp, chomp, closer and closer, clearer and clearer. Old Gold, it had come back. No, not just it. From the sound of it, it had brought help. Chomp chomp, chomp chomp. I turned, and Old Gold's anxious rat face slammed into view. The expression on its face twisted swiftly from agitation into a strand of resolve. Before I could even speak, it had already surged up along the mine wall, pouncing straight onto the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon, clawing and biting like mad. Yeah. It seemed to have gone ferocious, its very face contorted from the effort. Behind it, 40-some gold-devouring rats surged up like a tide, all pouncing onto the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon at once. Roar! It gave a violent shake of its body, flinging them all off. But those gold-devouring rats hit the ground, rolled, and dashed right back, pouncing again. The Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon's shield dropped at a visible rate. No wonder. Weak as the gold-devouring rats were, they still had 7 strength apiece, and 1 claw was 7 damage. And what pounced on it now were 43 of them. Its enormous body had, at this moment, become a liability instead, letting the gold-devouring rats swarm up from all sides, attacking in layer upon layer. One round of biting together was over 300 points of damage. However thick the shield, it couldn't withstand a ferocious tide like this. The scales began to tip toward my side. Roar! The Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon flung the gold-devouring rats off once more, a wider sweep, an angrier roar. But resistance was still futile. It had a thick shield, the gold-devouring rats had a hard hide. Though it couldn't block the domain's scorching, hard tanking a few flung-off impacts was more than enough. Land, pounce again, like a sickness clinging to the bone. In the narrow passage it couldn't maneuver, couldn't shake off this clinging force. At this rate, losing was only a matter of time. It seemed to sense this too, and began retreating at speed. Not being able to turn around didn't matter. Backing up in reverse was just as fast. Big Bear, Bear 2, drag it down. I rushed up first, meaning to provoke it into staying with my attacks. In this short span, its white shield was nearly bottomed out. Now was exactly when it wanted to flee. Roar! It flew into a rage, hard-tanked a sword strike from me, and headbutt me flying. Old gold. I forced down my churning blood and chi and roared hoarse. Chomp. No need for more words. Old gold had already driven the whole race into a desperate, fierce assault. Whoosh. The scarlet flame earth dragon retreated into a wider stretch of mine tunnel, and one shake of its body flung all the gold-devouring rats off again. At this moment, its HP bar was down to only 1/3. I panicked. Neither I nor Big Bear or Bear 2 could catch its speed, and the gold-devouring rats had been flung off. The moment it started moving, no one could stop it anymore. Just as it was about to break free, before it, a fire slime suddenly popped up. It was Big Fire. Shui. It spread its two little limbs, its body so small, yet its gaze utterly resolute, in a posture of stopping it even at the cost of its life. Come back. In that instant, my heart skipped a beat. Big Fire was just an F-rank slime. Even having eaten energy jelly up to level 13, its endurance was still a pitiful 3 points, 30 HP. And the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon had 31 strength. If it took even one hit head-on, its HP bar would be wiped to 0 in an instant. With the slime's alertness, there was no way Big Fire didn't know how terrifying the opponent was. Yet it stepped up anyway, without the slightest retreat, and instead cried out once more, hoarse with all its might. Shui. It had issued a challenge to the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon. A trace of human-like contempt curled at the corner of the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon's mouth. Such a weak little thing blocking its way did indeed give it pause. And then, there was no, and then. Its limbs sank low. It decided to simply trample straight over. A low-end crawler like this wasn't worth a swipe of its claw. But at that moment, that weak little slime suddenly sprang up from the ground, striking straight at its face. Damn it! The Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon flew into utter fury. The disgusting gold-devouring rats were one thing, but a slime dared block its path, dared attack it of its own accord. Unforgivable. It abandoned the thought of trampling it once and raised its right foreclaw high. It would flatten this slime into paste. Only thus could it vent the fury in its heart. In that moment, my brain caught fire. In a flash of lightning, 1,000 thoughts surged past. I was thinking of how to make Big Fire survive. Swish. I abruptly hurled a small bottle. It was the bottle holding the Fountain of Youth. One touch from it would be an instant kill for Big Fire, and however miraculous the Fountain of Youth was, it couldn't heal the dead. So I could only gamble. I gambled that in the same instant its claw struck Big Fire, the bottle would shatter and splash the Fountain of Youth onto it. However fast death came, it was still a process. However urgent the HP bars fall to 0, it still needed that sliver of time. What I gambled on was that in that hair's breadth gap as Big Fire's HP hit 0, the Fountain of Youth could catch up and haul it back from the gates of hell. Crack! The glass bottle struck the mine wall and burst on cue, golden liquid spraying everywhere. My angle was pinned down with utmost precision, certain not to splash the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon. Most fell on the tunnel floor, and only a scant few drops raced exactly along the trajectory toward Big Fire. SSSSSS. Big Fire was struck by a claw with no suspense at all. That fragile body was like a torn sack under the sharp claw, ripped out of shape in an instant. Its HP bar hit 0 at a speed almost impossible to catch. Yet my eyes didn't so much as blink, because the next instant, one drop of Fountain of Youth landed on Big Fire. Right after, a second drop, a third, a fourth. Golden healing radiance lit up on Big Fire, and that shattered body knit together at speed, restored as good as new. I'd won the gamble. Gold-devouring rat chief, loyalty plus 19. Current, 100, through fire and water, never to forsake. Gold-devouring rat subject, loyalty plus 49. Current, 100, through fire and water, never to forsake. Gold-devouring rat subject, loyalty plus 46. Current, 100, through fire and water, never to forsake. Schwana Bear chief, loyalty plus 2. Current, 100, through fire and water, never to forsake. Schwanta Bear subject, loyalty plus 11. Current, 100, through fire and water, never to forsake. Chomp, chomp chomp, chomp. The bit of time Big Fire had fought desperately to win was enough for the gold-devouring rats to make it back. They cried out in unison and pounced onto the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon once more. Only this time, every claw, every bite, was utterly resolute, their eyes as if lit with light. The scene of me flinging out the fountain of youth to save a single slime, they'd all seen it. Many among them had no idea at all what the fountain of youth was. But that far-spreading, thick as syrup aura of life was already enough to tell them. That thing was extremely precious. To save one of the weakest, most insignificant F-rank slimes, their lord had, without a shred of hesitation, hurled out a treasure like that. Then what was left for them to fear, to doubt? Today he could save a slime. Tomorrow, he could just as well save them. Swish, swish, swish. The Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon's HP bar plummeted, in a blink leaving only a thin sliver of a health skin. I picked my timing. The militia conversion talisman shot out. Successfully converted the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon into a militia unit. Another A rank banked. But as though I hadn't heard the prompt, I dashed straight for Big Fire. Only after confirming it was truly fine did I let out a long breath. The first thing I'd seen on arriving at this planet had been slimes, and I had a natural fondness for them. This whole way, though their stats were trifling, they'd always kept watch and stood sentry for me, and had helped me claim, one after another, the S-rank Blazing Sun Breath Crystal and the SS-rank Fountain of Youth. I'd kept that debt of gratitude in mind all along. And Big Fire, as the slime lord I'd personally appointed, had today used an F-rank body to hard block an A-rank Earth Dragon, snatching from me that life-saving sliver. As for that bottle of Fountain of Youth spent, without the slimes, whether I could have obtained the Fountain of Youth at all was itself an open question. Purr, the Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon nuzzled up to me, making an ingratiating purr. I stroked its head and smiled. As an enemy, it had been ugly and hard to handle. Now that it belonged under me, the more I looked, the more agreeable it seemed, and a couple more glances even made me find it a bit handsome. I swung myself up onto its broad back and patted its head. Let's go, Pippy Dragon. Pippy Dragon? It cocked its head and paused. Like it or not, it had no choice and accepted it. Sitting on Pippy Dragon's back, I tasted for the first time what it was like to have a mount, a broad back, fast and steady at a run, truly a delight. Where to? Naturally the place where it had been sleeping earlier. Those oars all around, crimson red like crystal, looked far from ordinary at a glance. I hadn't had the mind for it before, but now that I'd taken it, I had to go have a look. I flicked out a scan. Scarlet Flame Crystal Stone. A rank. Recycle value 1,300 gold per piece. Description: originally B rank Scarlet Heart Stone, mutated from absorbing dragon blood. A rank ore. This was the highest rank ore I'd ever seen. The rank of ore you used was the rank of equipment you could forge. With this, A rank equipment was already beckoning to me. Old gold, mine it. The gold-devouring rats were nimble, and the Scarlet Flame Crystal Stone soon piled up. But not long into mining I was taken aback. It was all mined out. It turned out this ore was only laid thinly along the surface layer of the mine wall, and tallied up, there were only 41 pieces. Just as I felt slightly disappointed, Pippy Dragon nudged my leg, signaling there was more deeper in. I was overjoyed. Then what were we waiting for? Lead the way. It hesitated a little, but honestly took up the role of guide. Going in about 200 meters, the second ore vein duly appeared, 52 pieces. Together with before, 93 in one trip. The thrill of bagging money by the sack was nothing more than this. I asked again, was there more? More? Then keep going. Pippy Dragon, helpless, could only lead deeper. At about 300 meters, the third ore vein appeared. Old gold dig. The gold-devouring rats with loyalty maxed needed no urging. They'd already set to work. But at this point, Big Fire cried out uneasily. Shui shui. It tugged at my trouser leg, dragging me back. I didn't doubt it in the least, scooped it up, and swung onto the dragon. Go. No sooner had we withdrawn than a low, muffled great roar boomed out from who knew how deep in the mine cave. The instant the sound rang out, Pippy Dragon, an A-rank Earth Dragon, went weak in all four legs and dropped flat to the ground. Big Bear and Bear, too, trembled too, their terrified look almost exactly the same as when they'd first run into the Blazing Sun Divine Bird. I understood in an instant. Deep in this mine cave lurked an existence no less than the Blazing Sun Divine Bird. Most likely the commotion of mining had disturbed it. No wonder Big Fire had suddenly grown alert. Don't lie there. Run if you want to live. I slapped the dragon's back hard. I had an ominous premonition. That thing would never let it end with just one roar. Pippy Dragon didn't disappoint me. Trembling, it finally propped up its four limbs, and just as it was about to run, a scorching wave of heat surged up from the depths. Before I could even make out where it came from, crimson flames had already engulfed my entire field of vision. Roar! Pippy Dragon looked back at that fire and, as if fiercely provoked by something, roared and bolted off in a mad dash. Big Bear, Bear 2, and the gold-devouring rats gave a start of fright and all latched onto the dragon's body. Ordinarily, it would never have been willing to be hitched onto like this, but right now escaping for their lives came first. Who cared about that? Hooves flying, it ran for all it was worth. Yet that wave of fire behind was, of all things, a beat faster than it. Several times it scorched its rump, only for a burst of speed to just barely shake it off. Watching the fire wave close to within 3 feet, though it hadn't licked our bodies, that terrifying heat had already roasted our HP bars into a rapid drop. This time, we might really be finished. The cave mouth was still far, and the fountain of youth had been spent saving Big Fire. Wait. My gaze pinned on a Big Fire. In Pippi Dragon's Scarlet Flame domain, it had been unharmed. Now with the fire wave in pursuit, its HP bar likewise didn't budge in the slightest. Fire element affinity, immune to fire damage. Since that was so, Big Fire, work with me, spread out. I grabbed its top and bottom ends and pulled outward. Before Big Fire even grasped what spread out meant, its jelly-like body had already been stretched to twice its original length. I placed the stretched out it as a shield at the tail of the group. The HP drop abruptly slowed. Just as I guessed, Big Fire's fire immunity could eat the fire wave's heat, blocking damage for us behind it, provided it was big enough to cover the whole fire wave. Big Fire got my meaning too and actively stretched its body. Soon, a thin slime shield, 2 meters tall and 1 meter wide took shape, set up at the tail of the group, and everyone's HP bar stopped falling in unison. Wood Chomp roar. Pippi Dragon, Big Bear, Bear 2, and the gold-devouring rats cheered in unison, applauding Big Fire. Without it, this run truly would have all been lost here. Yet Big Fire, far from being proud, instead, with its face pulled into a pancake, cried out a string of shwee shwee at me. Understanding its suggestion, I instantly looked at it in a whole new light. Right, this method, how had I not thought of it? I glanced at the fire wave closing in behind, gauged it briefly, and hurled the pancake, formed Big Fire backward. The fire wave slammed straight into Big Fire. Immune to fire damage, it was calm and unafraid, and swallowed that entire wave of heat downhole. A moment later, Big Fire shrank back into its round, plump shape, while that fire wave had already dissipated into nothing. Handsome Big Fire. I scooped it back into my arms, grinning ear to ear. The subjects chimed in echoing too. Shwee. Big Fire, praised, didn't stand on ceremony at all, tossed its head up, looking mighty pleased with itself. That existence deep in the earth was by no means less than the blazing sun divine bird. Yet who could have imagined the one to turn the tide in the end would be an F-rank slime? Though we dodged a calamity, I didn't dare linger a moment more and urged Pippi Dragon to speed out of the pit. If it could strike once, there could be a second. Fortunately, all the way until we exited the cave, there was no second blow. Even so, I still ordered all the gold-devouring rats to stop mining and return to base with me. Stopping mining meant losing output, but as long as the mine cave's danger went unresolved for a day, Old Gold and the others' lives had no guarantee for a day. And or sight could be found again. Their lives came only once. Over an hour later, Old Gold led the gold-devouring rats into base. Here for the first time, they looked all around, curious about everything. I watched off to the side with a smile. I like this feeling. An ordinary lord would struggle to have even a single subject at the start. Yet only 4 days in, my base had already taken initial shape. It would only grow more and more from here. The base would grow into a village, a town, a city, and one day, spread across the whole planet. Roar. An ancient, majestic long roar tore through my reverie from afar. Me, Big Bear, Bear 2, Pippi Dragon, together with all the gold-devouring rats, froze in movement and expression all at once. This sound, we'd heard it over an hour ago in the mine cave. I saw a black dot rise up from the direction of the mine, swelling swiftly as it climbed, and in a blink, it turned into a creature crimson red from head to tail. A fire dragon. It was too far off, the scan couldn't reach. But there was no need to scan to know. Anything that was a dragon would never be much weaker than the blazing sun divine bird. No wonder both Pippi Dragon's and the Scarlet Flame Crystal Stone's descriptions tied into dragon blood. Coiled at the deepest part of the mine cave was, truly, a dragon. I murmured. Most likely it was wounded, which is why it's been lying dormant down below, recuperating. Scree. A familiar bird cry burst out from the west. That blazing sun divine bird from 3 days ago reappeared in the sky. Only this time, it didn't charge at me, but dove straight at the fire dragon. Roar! The fire dragon sensed it and roared in a show of force. The blazing sun divine bird didn't shrink back in the least, gave a clear cry, and spat out a huge fireball. The fire dragon met it with dragon breath in turn. Fireball and dragon breath collided soundlessly, yet that patch of sky was scorched into a sheet of crimson. Beneath the firelight, the two colossi were already locked in tangled combat. These were all existences far beyond my reach at present, and every clash had my heart in my throat. Fortunately, we were far off, up close. Even the aftershocks would probably be unbearable. But this fight didn't last long. Though clearly not at a disadvantage, the fire dragon, without any warning, turned tail and fled east. What deep enmity the blazing sun divine bird had with it I couldn't say, but it bit down hard on the chase. One ahead, one behind, both vanished into the horizon. I smacked my lips. No matter how I savored it, they came in a rush and left in a rush. Suddenly, I recalled something. The books stated it in black and white. Dragons had a habit of collecting treasures. The fire dragon had earlier occupied the deep part of the mine cave, and now it was gone. So down there, might there be something good left behind? At that thought, I nearly started drooling. That was a fire dragon on par with the blazing sun divine bird, after all. If the blazing sun divine bird spat anywhere at random it was an S-rank treasure, then how bad could the things in that dragon's nest be? The temptation was too great, and the more I thought, the more my heart stirred. Fortune favors the bold, the timid starve. The fire dragon and the blazing sun divine bird are both gone, so what have I got to fear? Let's go take a look. 1 minute later, I brought along all my combat strength and set out with the whole roost. There were good things in the dragon's nest. I knew it, and other creatures might know it too. If it really came to a scramble, the level of combat strength would be the key to who got the treasure. On the way, I raced at full speed, striving for the first move. But the further I went, the heavier that sense of urgency grew, because it was too quiet. The whole way earlier, though creatures had been rare, there had always at least been rustling sounds. This time, there wasn't the slightest odd noise. Bad. Don't tell me they've all rushed ahead of us. I steeled myself and urged Pippy Dragon to charge straight for the deepest part of the mine cave. Charging all the way to the bottom in one go, I was dumbstruck. Here it was open and spacious as 3 or 4 football fields, all 4 walls studded with scarlet flame crystal stone, looking every bit the part of a dragon's nest. But apart from that, there was nothing. No pack of beasts drawn by the wind and coming to brawl over treasure, and not the slightest gleam of any treasure either. Empty. Beaten to it. This thought had barely risen before I snuffed it out. We'd come extremely fast, hadn't run into a single creature the whole way, so the chance of being cut off was next to nothing. Then there was only one explanation. The dragon's nest had never had treasure to begin with. The fire dragon had most likely been wounded and had made a temporary stopover here to recuperate. This place wasn't its true lair at all. Come excited, leave dejected. Though the ring of scarlet flame crystal stone around here was worth money too, it was a world apart from the harvest I'd imagined. The heart is never satisfied. A snake tries to swallow an elephant. I gave a self-mocking laugh and accepted it. Well, we're here already. Might as well mine the ore. Shui, shui, shui. Big Fire suddenly hopped back and forth around a spot on the ground. Last time it had been the one to find me the blazing sun breath crystal. Something stirred in me. What is it? Found something. It nodded with great seriousness. Shui, shui, shui. You mean there's something underneath? Easy enough. I waved a hand. Big Bear, dig it open. Though Pippy Dragon had higher strength than Big Bear, I still reflexively called for Big Bear. Whoa! Big Bear started clawing without a word. The gravel wasn't hard. In 2 or 3 goes there was a big pit, and soon a smooth, curved something was revealed. Stop! I flicked out a scan. Scarlet Flame Wyvern Egg, damaged. SSS rank. Description: laid by a Scarlet Flame Wyvern, can hatch a Scarlet Flame Dragon chick. Due to a congenital deficiency, the damage must be repaired and nutrients replenished before it can hatch. Holy crap! I sprang 3 feet into the air on the spot. What did hope born from darkest despair mean? This was it. An SSS rank Scarlet Flame Wyvern Egg. Consider this. The strongest known disaster beast on Earth was no more than SS rank. 1 rank of difference, and the growth stats were a whole notch lower, with the gap growing all the more brutal the higher the level. And the Scarlet Flame Wyvern was SSS, a full S higher. If it were truly raised, those disaster beasts on Earth probably wouldn't last a second before it. Of course, it was still too early to think of such things. The first step now, dig the egg out first. Big Bear and Bear 2 together hauled out this dragon egg as tall as a person. The moment I stored it into my lord's space, I ordered at once, retreat. Even the scarlet flame crystal stone I couldn't be bothered with. Mining had been fairly safe without the dragon egg, but now that the egg was in my hands, you could tell just by thinking with your toes that old mother would sooner or later come back looking for it. To still be foolishly mining or here, then would be certain death, no way out. On the way back, I was jumping at shadows, breaking into a sweat at the slightest stir. Fortunately, I made it back to base without mishap. The base's defenses were as good as useless before a scarlet flame wyvern, but at least it was some psychological comfort. I only hoped the Lord's space could seal off the scent, keeping it from sniffing out a trail. Along the way, I'd even scattered plenty of disaster beast dung to confuse the smell. The survival pack had originally stocked it for scaring off wild beasts. It had never been used, and here it came in handy. By the time all that was done, the sky had gone fully dark. The academy and blacksmith were built, but reaching level 4 still needed 2 watchtowers and 20 sets of fence, about 500 logs. Even with everyone at work, it would take a whole day. Plan settled, I got into bed, but tossed and turned unable to sleep, my head full of that dragon egg. So I just didn't sleep, lit a torch, and took out the egg to study it. Hiding it away undetected was one path, but there was an even surer move: hatch it and convert it. Once the hatched dragon chick became my subject, it would heed my command. By then, even if the old mother tracked us down, she'd have to hold back her hand for fear of hitting the rat. But doing this ran into an obstacle there was no getting around. The scan said it was damaged, and it had to be repaired before it could hatch. By the torchlight, I turned it over and looked at it every which way for the better part of an hour, and couldn't for the life of me find where the damage was. I was utterly baffled. The scan wouldn't be wrong, so it was just that I hadn't examined thoroughly enough. I looked closely twice more, still finding nothing. Just as I was at my wit's end, I suddenly noticed the spot where my left hand touched the egg was a bit damp. Bringing it close under the torch, I saw my palm had, at some unknown point, gotten smeared with a transparent slime. Could it be? I held the torch close to the spot I'd just touched and examined it over and over. This time I got results. A ring of extremely fine cracks was seeping slime out thread by thread. So it really is damaged. Location found. Easy enough. Fountain of Youth, step 4th. It was only because the yield was too low that I had to be sparing. Otherwise, I'd splash a few bottles down and heal it wherever it was broken. I dripped one drop onto the crack. Golden light rose like mist. But a strange thing happened. That ring of cracks, far from closing, had the patch of eggshell it enclosed bulge outward. What the hell? I was stumped. One drop down, the injury not healed, and instead worse? Refusing to believe it, I added another drop, and that bulging patch of eggshell bulged even higher. The more I healed it, the more it pushed out. Could it be the dragon chick was ramming its head against it from inside? I brought the torch closer still, and this look, I actually spotted the trick. That bulging little patch wasn't eggshell at all. It was metal. Though its color was extremely like the eggshell, it genuinely reflected a metallic sheen. So it wasn't the eggshell bulging, it was metal that had been embedded in the egg all along, being pushed out. Good grief. So this is the root of the illness. No wonder 2 drops of Fountain of Youth couldn't hold it down. A foreign object had been jabbed into the egg. I pinched that stub of metal and pulled outward. Too little was exposed, and 2 fingers couldn't get a grip. After quite a struggle, I drew out another short length, just barely enough for a 3-finger hold. After that, it went smoothly, and without much effort, I pulled out a large section. But on this section, there were intricate patterns carved. That shape looked, any way you cut it, like the hilt of a sword. Don't tell me a sword really got jabbed in there. Too lazy to think it over, I tested it in practice. I pulled with all my strength, and with a plop, a long item, wrapped in slime, came free from the egg. It was a sword. I hurriedly added 2 more drops of Fountain of Youth to the breach, terrified that the dragon chick inside the egg had been done in by my bout of surgery. Seeing the hole heal rapidly, I finally let out a breath. Scarlet Flame Wyvern Egg. SSS rank. Description: can hatch a Scarlet Flame Dragon Chick. Estimated hatching time: 2567H. Reading that, my hanging heart died. Good news: the damage was repaired. Bad news: hatching would take over 2,500 hours, more than 100 days. Never mind whether it would hatch. Even if it could, those 100+ days were more than enough for its old mother to turn this patch of ground over a few thousand times. Living things couldn't be sold to the system store, or I'd have genuinely wanted to offload it. Oh right, there's also the sword. My eye caught the sword I'd tossed carelessly on the ground, and my thoughts stirred again. Scan. Flowing cloud. SS rank. Attributes. Requires a hero to wield. Description. Only a hero can command this sword. Recycle value. 1 gold. An SS rank sword. My heartbeat went unruly and undignified again. The attributes only showed with a hero holding it? No problem. A fine sword pairs with a hero. After all, setting shame aside, I figured I was about as good as a hero myself. I gripped Flowing Cloud and scanned again. The result? Not a hair of change. What the hell? I don't even count as a hero. I got a little heated, glaring at the sword. How about you take another careful look? Scan once more. Same as before. Preposterous. I made an orchid finger gesture and gave Flowing Cloud a crisp flick to the forehead. What counts as a hero? Do you even understand or not? Fine, being stubborn, are you? Then let me ask you. Yuan Shao of Hebei, 4 generations of ministers, crouching like a tiger over Jizhou, with a great many capable men under him. Can he be counted a hero? Why am I chatting with you about this? You can't even understand. I indignantly tossed Flowing Cloud into the Lord's space. I'd thought since we both had Cloud in our names, the two of us had a bond. In the end, it was purely my one-sided wishful thinking. Storing the dragon egg away too, I sat on the bed spacing out for a good while. Having a treasure, yet being unable to use it. Miserable. The morning of the 5th day, I woke. When I'd fallen asleep last night. And how? I couldn't remember at all. But no matter, a new day had arrived. Opening the panel, the subjects had grown again. Schwanta Bear X, 3 Cauliflower Beast X, 8 Fire Slime X, 15 Gold Devouring Rat X, 43 Water Swordsman X, 3 Scarlet Flame, Earth Dragon X 1. 1 more bear, 2 more Cauliflower Beasts, and even 1 more A-rank Water Swordsman added. Muyu had sent over another 700 logs. With this batch of material, going full firepower today, reaching level 4 was a done deal. Facing the newly risen morning sun, I felt this new day was impossibly beautiful. Until a shadow pressed down over the very center of the sun. Roar! That dragon's cry, as if branded into my soul, rang out to the heavens. The face that had been grinning foolishly a second earlier instantly turned black as the bottom of a pot. Done for, done for, done for. I couldn't understand dragon tongue, but the rage packed so thick it wouldn't dissolve within that cry. I heard loud and clear. No need to guess. It had discovered the egg was gone. Even more despairing. My whole scheme of scattering dung and hiding it in the space had been utterly wasted. The Scarlet Flame Wyvern was diving straight for the base. The Wyvern bore down. A fierce wind kicked up, and the base's buildings creaked and rattled under the gusts, as if they'd fall apart the next moment. I swept a glance over the subjects behind me, let out a long sigh, and honestly cupped the dragon egg out in my hands. Before an SSS rank existence, any petty cleverness was courting death. Hand over the egg, and there was still a sliver of hope for life. Truly enrage it, and 1 breath of dragon fire down. The egg might be fine, but I and my whole big household would surely be turned to ash. Sure enough, the moment the mother dragon saw the dragon egg, her aura abruptly eased, and the wind died down too. She descended above the base, her enormous body casting the entire base into shadow, and reached down a claw to scoop the egg back. Thank you. A shiver ran through my whole body. I nearly thought I was hearing things. I looked up. Her pair of great eyes were gazing at me, and within them there wasn't the slightest anger, only gentleness and gratitude. Thank you for saving my child. This time I was certain. She was speaking to me. Though she made no sound, that voice rang directly beside my ear. My poor child, dragged down by me, suffered a fatal injury. I had thought I could only watch helplessly as its life drained away. It was the dragon god who sent you before us. It was you who saved it back. I can feel it. Its wound has already healed. As she spoke, a trace of pain flashed through her eyes, and she actually plucked a scale straight from her own body, gently setting it before me. If you ever face hardship in the future, use it to summon me. No matter how great the trouble, I will do everything in my power to help you once, even at the cost of my life. This is the promise of me, of the fire dragon lineage, the Scarlet Flame Wyvern Alifia. Having said this, she slowly rose into the sky and departed toward the north. I stared blankly at that enormous scale on the ground, unable to snap out of it for a long while. Did I just turn misfortune into blessing? Not only did I not die, I even earned a dragon's enormous debt of gratitude. I gave a bitter laugh. It's just this scale, isn't it a bit too big? The words weren't out before the scale suffused with a dim glow, and when the light faded, it had shrunk to palm size. I blinked, then it dawned on me, so it could change size at will. No wonder a body that huge back then could squeeze into the narrow mine tunnel to recuperate and leave behind bloodstains. Storing the scale away, I closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths, tamping down this bout of dizzying highs and lows, too thrilling. Opening my eyes again, I waved a hand. Big fire, Collie 1, watery, old gold, Pippy Dragon. Get to work. With everyone's strength together, the fences went up set by set, and the 2 watchtowers were completed one after another. By dusk, only the final set of fence stood between me and level 4. And at this moment, the Lord's circle was blowing up over me. Day 5's almost over. How is Brother Yun still level 3? The dozen plus behind have all caught up. Probably stuck on labor/environment. Ugh. And here I was waiting to mooch off his level 5 resource red packet. Wanted to ask about his situation, but my friend request never got approved. +1 same, gone quiet. Brother Yun leveled up. Holy crap, he really did. Level 4. Level 5 is right around the corner. Brother Yun's awesome. Congratulations on successfully reaching level 4. Lord Space expanded. Unlocked. Lord's Manor, Fishery, Orchard, Vegetable Garden, Farmland Blueprints. Listening to the prompt, I broke into a beaming smile. For me, going from 4 to 5 was no obstacle at all. The orchard, vegetable garden, and farmland used little material and built fast, and 5 houses wouldn't take much effort either. The only thing easily stuck on was the Lord's Manor. Besides 200 logs, it also needed 100 pieces of D-rank or higher ore. That D-rank threshold blocked 99 out of 100 early-stage lords dead in their tracks. But for me, never mind D-rank, I could produce A-rank. And I really did plan to build it with A-rank Scarlet Flame Crystal Stone. Not that I had so much or it was burning a hole. It was that the Lord's Manor had one crucial function, base teleportation. The higher the ore's rank, the more teleport beacons could be set and the wider the teleport range. D-rank 1, C-rank 2, A-rank 4. Once the Lord's Manor was built, I could set 1 beacon each at the river and the mine, arriving in seconds, never again needing to race back and forth. But level 4 was, after all, just a transition. What truly made me itch was the Hero Tavern unlocked at level 5. Only with a tavern could I recruit heroes, recruit a hero, and a Lord's strength took a qualitative leap. I could hardly wait to work through the night. But the sky had gone dark, and the subjects, after a full day's labor, were running on empty. Working more would be unwise. Anxious as I was, I still let everyone rest. Well rested, they could actually work tomorrow. On the 6th day, the Lord's circle grew markedly livelier. Because holding on one more day, to the 7th day, was the moment of going home. When it came down to it, everyone had only just turned 18, and away from home for so many days, to say they weren't homesick would be a lie. Even I, too busy to think during the day, always found myself remembering Mom, Dad, and my little sister once I lay down at night. What were they doing? Had they slept? Did they miss me the way I missed them? At the doorway of the houses, I called out to all the subjects. Little ones, get through today, and tomorrow we can go home. I'll take you to meet my family then. Wokak, shui shui. Though they didn't understand what meeting family was, seeing my face full of anticipation, they all obediently chimed in. And my head was full of it. How shocked would my family be, seeing me bring back such a huge crew of companions? Consider this. Finishing the survival period with 5 subjects counted as excellent, and 10 was the cream of the crop. Someone like me, hauling back a whole pack in one go with top-notch quality too. As far as I knew, unprecedented. Just the A-rank Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon and 3 A-rank Water Swordsmen alone were enough to pop eyeballs. The only pity, no more subjects were added today. Within the conversion grounds coverage, everything convertible had probably all been converted. Eat, eat, get to work after eating. 7 hours later, 2 in the afternoon. Congratulations on successfully reaching level 5. Lord Space expanded. Unlocked. Hero Tavern, Jewelry Workshop, Brewery, Mess Hall, Hunting Ground Blueprints. Level 5 Resource Red Packet once issued. All in the Lord's Circle may claim it issue. Issue. Obtained. Subject Summoning Charm X1 S-Rank. Description. Designate 1 non-hero race already under your command, and summon 1 subject of that race. Guaranteed convertible. Recycle value 1,000 gold. Nice. I stored it away, delighted. Subjects were sufficient for now. Waiting to summon after I'd later collected an S or SS rank race would give the best value for the cost. Funny to think about, before I became a lord, I'd thought having a single B rank subject would be incredible. Now I could hardly even look at A rank, my eyes already fixed on S and SS. Desire truly is endless. The Lord's circle blew up again. What did I tell you? It's only day 6 and Brother Yun's already level 5. Has there ever been a level 5 on day 6 in history? Guess not. Brother Yun just blew the record wide open. Doesn't that mean he'll straight up get a hero on day 7? A hero during the survival period? Terrifying just to think about. Once the ladder opens, won't he just dominate the rankings? Boo-hoo. We commoners can only live in Brother Yun's shadow. Haha. As long as there's a red packet to claim, I don't care. Let me tell you, the shadow's temporary. Once the cross-circle war opens, you'll know how sweet it is to have a big shot carrying you. In a treehouse in some world, Muyu, listening to the prompt, smiled and sent a message. Big shot, I mooched off your red packet again this time. You'll keep covering me from now on too, right? Everyone was happy for me. There was only one exception. Liang Kuan, whose face at this moment was black as ink. Just a moment ago, he had only reached level 4, brimming with joy, thinking he'd finally caught up to me, that with one more push he had a shot at the top. The prompt of my level 5 struck like a bolt from the blue, blasting him crisp on the outside and mushy within. With my god-tier opening hand, I'm actually this far behind him? What kind of monster even is he? He sank into silence for a good while, then sent 2 words with a bitter smile. Congratulations. Muyu's message was within my expectations. Liang Kuan's congratulations caught me off guard. Replying to each one by one, I pulled my thoughts back to the matter at hand, while the sun hadn't set, to build the tavern out in one push. Building the tavern required 100 logs of C rank or higher and 100 pieces of or of C rank or higher. Again, the better the material, the stronger the effect. C rank wood was everywhere, just chop it fresh, so I simply used B rank silver branch tree, or was A rank scarlet flame crystal stone as usual. After building the Lord's Manor, the crystal stone was nearly gone, but no matter. I'd have old gold go set a beacon at the mine it, and teleport it straight back. There was time. As for the scarlet flame wyvern, even less to fear. The mine was to the south, and it had gone north, plainly not returning to the mine. Before the sky went fully dark, the tavern was completed. Successfully built Hero Tavern X1. Hero Tavern, a temporary stopover for heroes in the wild. When a hero comes calling, be sure to have fine wine ready to receive them. The sky had gone dim, and the tavern hid in the night, but in my eyes, it fairly shone with golden light. Everyone's worked hard. Go rest. But I had no plans to sleep. The tavern's material determined the probability of drawing heroes, and with B rank wood and A rank, or I could rest easy on that front. But to recruit a hero, merely drawing them in wasn't enough. You had to keep them, to have the chance to sign a contract. What kept a hero was fine wine. Otherwise, a hero would come calling and then turn and leave, or hold no fondness for the territory, making them hard to recruit. The proper path to fine wine was the brewery. The blueprint was unlocked, but brewing one batch took 10 days to half a month at every turn, and I couldn't wait. I could only take the crooked path. I entered the Lord's circle and flung out a line. Emergency rescue needed, desperate for fine wine. Write your trade conditions in the friend request. The circle instantly boiled over. It's Brother Yun. Grab him. Big shot's about to recruit a hero, right? Envious. Got 2 bottles of 30-year XO on hand. Take them. I've got a case of top luxury wine to offer too. Shut it. Back off at once. I watched the friend requests. In under a minute, over 30 flooded in, most sending the wine straight over while tacking on small requests, some wanting, or some would, some purely wanting to snag a friend slot. I agreed to them all. To be a competent lord, socializing was a required course, and a sense of proportion all the more. Going through every single request, there wasn't one that leaned on a few bottles of wine to open its mouth like a lion. Ding! Another one. And it was actually Liang Kuan. Liang Kuan. I'd meant to use it myself, but it looks like there's no chance now. Since you need it, I'll give it all to you. Followed right after by an email. Opening it, 10 cases of wine. Hennessy XO, 14th generation Ryu Getsu, Fatian Matai, Romanikani. Good grief, all top-shelf stuff. The wine pulled together from dozens of people, all added up, still didn't match how much or how fine what he alone had sent was. It was exactly what I needed right now, so I didn't stand on ceremony and took it all. But friends give and take in turn. I offhandedly returned him 3 pieces of A-rank scarlet flame crystal stone. Liang Kuan. Thanks, call it me taking advantage of you this time. I'll pay it back next time. I gave a faint smile. It was all understood without a word. Putting the wine up on the tavern's shelves one by one, the rest I left to time. I was going to sleep, but heroes in the wild had no concept of day and night. They might visit at any moment. This night wouldn't delay my sleep, nor the tavern's drawing of guests. With luck, I might just run into a hero when I got up in the morning. Let's have a strong one. C-rank would be nice. Best would be a healing-type hero. Then I could save up the Fountain of Youth. If nothing else, a forging master would do too. The blacksmith could finally craft equipment. Full of anticipation, I drifted off to sleep. It's day 7. I snapped my eyes open. No time even to check whether the subjects had grown. I rolled out of the house. How had the tavern fared over one night? I couldn't wait. Before I even reached the door, I heard chatter and laughter from within from a distance, and quite a crowd too. My heart leapt. Guests had come. But I didn't dare rejoice fully. Besides heroes, wanderers would also patronize the tavern. Those without a hero's emblem were just pure drinkers and couldn't be recruited. Reaching the door, I straightened my lapels and pushed it open. A wave of din hit my face. I wasn't annoyed. Rather, I liked this liveliness. The drinkers recognized me. "Lord's here. Thanks for the fine wine. I love it." "Morning, my lord." I responded to each with a smile, but my gaze roved over their chests. Every hero wore a hero's emblem on the chest, and the higher the rank, the larger and more exquisite the emblem. Suddenly, my gaze halted, my heart wild with joy. A red-haired, red-bearded dwarf, and that emblem on his chest, a C-rank hero's emblem. Just last night, I'd been muttering for a forging master, and this morning one came. The dwarf race was a whole race of smiths. That dwarf raised his cup and laughed at me. "Ahoy, my lord, have a drink together?" "Sure," I agreed readily. Chatting more with heroes could raise the recruitment odds, even though I didn't much love drinking. As I walked over, my peripheral vision caught another. A lithe, graceful maiden, fair-skinned with green hair, her pointed ears betraying her identity. An elf. On her chest, likewise a C-rank hero's emblem. 2 heroes. I nearly cried out with joy. 2 heroes right at the opening. This was the god tier of god tier draws. Provided, of course, I could recruit them. We sat and exchanged pleasantries, and the dwarf gave his name. Firebeard Stonehammer, of the Stonehammer tribe. He gulped down several mouthfuls of whiskey. "Lord Joe's wine has a flavor all its own. I like it." My eyes lit up. Those words amounted to a declaration. Heroes who appeared in the tavern were, without exception, unemployed and awaiting recruitment. Bang! He set down his cup. "Only, besides fine wine, fire and or are also indispensable to my life." The meaning couldn't have been clearer. I hurriedly said, "My territory happens to have a blacksmith, lacking a formidable forging master to hold the fort. You'd be perfectly suited, sir." Firebeard laughed heartily. "A formidable forging master? Ahoy, my hand at forging is indeed not bad. If the Lord thinks well of me, I'd be most glad to serve, so long as the fine wine flows and the ore's plentiful. 50 gold a month." As his words fell, his stat panel surfaced before me without my needing to probe. Firebeard Stonehammer, Hero C-Rank, LV1. SDR 24 int 28 int 21 SPR 20 SPD 22. Talent: Forging Mastery, Forging Time minus 20%, Quality plus 20%. Skill: Blazing Heavy Hammer, Leap up and slam the ground, 200% STR fire damage and range, CD12s. Troop Type: Blazing Hammer Soldier Aura, all stats of subordinate soldiers plus 10%, plus 20% if also hammer soldiers. Monthly wage: 50 gold, requires ore and wine supplied. A standard C-rank and a forging master at that. I promptly drew out a recruitment contract, signed and sealed, and the contract was established. "Greetings, my lord." Firebeard rose and gave a solemn bow. "From now on the blacksmith is entirely yours. I'll fill out your troops as soon as I can too. I'll follow the lord's arrangements entirely." As we spoke, that elf maiden left her seat and came gracefully over. "Esteemed lord, my name is Ellie, of the forest elf lineage. The rich breath of life in your territory makes me very comfortable. I command healing magic and can also hasten plant growth and soothe monsters. Might I have the honor of staying to serve you?" Ellie Hero C-Rank, LV1. SDR 20 int 20 int 28 SPR 29 SPD 21. Talent: Nature's Whisper, Plant Growth plus 20%, Monster Malice minus 20%. Skill: Forest Blessing, restore 200% INT health to friendlies in range, CD11s. Troop Type: Forest Guard Aura, same as before. Monthly wage: 100 gold. Description: Loves nature and life, willing to do all she can to dissolve the world's suffering. A healing type hero. I was overjoyed beyond measure. With her, from now on I could save up all the Fountain of Youth. A 100 gold monthly wage was practically negligible. Say no more. Contract. A flash of golden light, and Ellie entered my command, my second hero. Landing 2 in a row, I was thoroughly self-satisfied and was about to lead them on a tour of the base. But Ellie said, "Won't you consider recruiting that one over there?" "Which one?" I followed her gaze. My pupils abruptly contracted. An A-rank hero's emblem. A-rank. Could I really recruit an A-rank hero at this stage? Even I found it absurd. The threshold for a hero was no weakness across the 5 stats. At C rank, each stat greater than or equal to 20. At B rank, doubled to greater than or equal to 40. At A rank, doubled again. Each stat at minimum 80. And that was only level 1. Add leveling and A-rank growth, and the panel would only be more terrifying. Yet that A-rank hero just kept her head down, drinking to herself. Dressed all in plain black and seated in a dim corner, she was easily overlooked, as if deliberately hiding herself. When my gaze and Ellie's landed on her, she showed no reaction at all. I didn't believe it. An A-rank with a guaranteed 80 points of spirit, unable to sense even a single gaze? Judging by that reaction, she probably couldn't be recruited. But, however slim the hope, I had to try. This was an A-rank, after all. "Hello. I'm the Lord here, surname Zhou. How may I address you, miss?" "Wu Ji." Between sips of wine, she spat out the 2 words flatly. I felt a slight setback. My gaze swept over her black hair, black clothes, black skirt, black boots, and finally landed on a black-sheathed tachi. Just as I was about to use it to strike up conversation, she happened at that very moment to look up. An exquisite, fair, coldly aloof, and beautiful face. "If you want to recruit me, I won't refuse," she said. "But it's not worth it." "Why?" "Because I want a 1,000 gold monthly wage, and you'd only be recruiting an amnesiac swordswoman." "You have amnesia?" She looked at me quietly, saying nothing. "Wu Ji, injured state, hero A rank LV1, SDR 94 in 91 in 82 SPR 85 SPD 101. Talent, mist hiding, evasion plus 50%, equipment, crescent moon, A rank. Skill, none troop type, none aura, none. Monthly wage, 1,000 gold. Description, a peerless swordswoman pursuing her memories, perhaps with a past too painful to recall. Slap. I clapped the contract onto the table. "The memories you've lost, I can't help you with. All I can guarantee is 1,000 gold each month, not a coin short, paid on time." Wu Ji didn't move, only looked at me without blinking. "My lord." Firebeard called out softly, not saying it outright, but his tone was written all over with "not worth it." Ellie too quietly tugged my sleeve, the same meaning. Even a normal A rank was hard to secure at 1,000 gold, let alone an amnesiac one. But I didn't waver in the slightest, only stared at Wu Ji awaiting her answer. 1,000 gold, converted into Earth credit points, was 10 million. I understood clearly what 10 million a month meant, but I didn't care. What I banked on was exactly abundant resources and a thick foundation. Mine a bit more, or chop a few more trees, sell them straight to the shop, and that would be enough to fill this hole. What I cared about had never been the price, it was ability. Wu Ji had amnesia, her skill, troop type, and aura all lost. But going by these 5 stats alone, 101 speed. A water swordsman at 30 speed was already fast enough. At 101 speed, wouldn't she practically fly? After a long while, Wu Ji finally nodded. "The present me knows I'm unworthy of such treatment. But since you insist, I will do everything in my power." The golden light settled, and the contract was formed. Walking out of the tavern, behind me there followed, no less, 3 heroes. The A-rank swordswoman Wu Ji, the C-rank forging warrior Firebeard, and the C-rank healing gardener Ellie. One trip to the tavern, a qualitative leap in strength, and my confidence greatly bolstered. Today was the last day of the survival period, and I wouldn't waste it, swiftly assigning. The blacksmith entrusted fully to Firebeard, with Old Gold leading the gold-gnawing rats to train under him into blazing hammer soldiers. A pack of rats swinging hammers in a brawl. I was rather looking forward to it. The botanical garden entrusted to Ellie, paired with the 8 cauliflower beasts, to train into forest guards, amounting to an 8-member healing squad. As for Wu Ji, there was no arrangement for now. Without talent, troop type, or aura, there was little she could do at present. But this was only temporary. Back on Earth, everywhere would be her stage. Night fell right on schedule. With the day of return approaching, my heart grew ever harder to calm. "Dad, Mom, little sister, have you all been well these days? I'll be back soon." Day 8, the day of return. I woke at 6 in the morning, unable to sleep. Opening the Lord's Circle, it was unusually lively inside. Everyone, on account of the imminent homecoming, was either sleepless or awake early. I gave a knowing smile, so we were all the same. At 6:59, the prompt rang out in every Lord's mind right on time. The 7-day survival period is about to end. Ranking rewards will be issued upon your return to your territory. Teleport restrictions lifted. Teleport. Casting automatically sets an anchor and returns you to your base. Casting again returns you to the anchor point. CD 24H. Your base is about to enter a 3-day absolute protection period. Countdown 42s. The countdown hit 0, and the base was cloaked in a golden light dome. For these 3 days, the territory took no damage of any kind, and the flow of time dropped to 100,000th of normal, near standstill. Hence it was also called the cooling off period. Being able to awaken as a lord didn't mean one was suited to being a lord. 7 days of survival had let every newcomer taste enough of what this identity felt like. If one felt lost or afraid, so long as they did not teleport back to their base within the 3 days, their lord status would be revoked and they'd return to being an ordinary mortal. Those who chose to stay would, after 3 days, face a new trial. And I'd had my answer long ago. Teleport unlocked. My spirit reconnected to the anchor point on Earth. Home. A single thought, and everything went black. When it brightened again, I was standing in the park near my home. A young man out for a morning run, the distant sound of an arrow, the scent of green grass and flowers in the air. Everything so familiar. I'm back, I shouted to the sky, and broke into a sprint toward home. Imagining how my family would look when I suddenly appeared, my grin spread wider and wider. Into the complex, into the unit, up to the 10th floor in one breath. But my steps suddenly slowed, my manner cautious. I wanted to give them a surprise. But soon, I sensed something was off. Silence. Too silent. Today was Thursday. At this hour, my little sister Jo Huan should be home eating breakfast and getting ready for school, and Mom and Dad heading to work. There was no way there'd be no sound at all. Yet the area outside my door was eerily quiet. And outside the door was a mess. The shoe cabinet askew, an umbrella toppled over, several shoes tangled in disarray. This was wrong. Completely out of keeping with my family's ways. Dad, Mom, little sister, I'm back. I stepped quickly forward, panic creeping into my voice. No one answered. Dad? Mom? I raised my voice and reached to press the door lock. The instant my fingertip was about to touch the keypad, my pupils abruptly contracted. There was dust on the door handle. My heart skipped a beat. Something had happened. Blood rushed to my head. I threw the door open fast. The home was empty, in disarray, as if there'd been a struggle. My little sister Jo Huan's school bag was tossed on the floor, books and papers scattered everywhere. My heart felt as though someone had crushed it in a fist. My little sister had looked up to me as a role model since childhood, loved studying, and treasured her books and stationery. Were it not for some irresistible force, she'd never leave her school bag lying on the floor. It's fine, it's fine. I'm overthinking it. With trembling hands I dialed. Dads, moms, my sisters. Not a single one went through. What on earth happened while I was gone these days? I roared through gritted teeth, my eyes gone red before I even knew when. I shot to my feet, rushed to the door across the hall, and pounded on it. Auntie Lee, Uncle He, is anyone home? Creak, the door opened. Is that little Yun back? The surprise in Auntie Lee's eyes, who opened the door, lingered only a moment before turning to pity. I caught that pity at a glance and asked urgently, where are my mom and dad and little sister? Where did they go? You know something, don't you? Auntie Lee sighed. Annie doesn't know the specifics either. 5 days ago, a gang suddenly showed up, hollering for your family to pay back money, and went into your place. There was some commotion afterward, and your dad, your mom, and your little sister were taken away by them. The city guard even sent people that day, and it made no difference at all. From what the property management said, they're loan sharks, not to be trifled with. Loan sharks, I repeated in a low voice. In an instant, I understood a great deal. The truth was, I'd sensed something off with the family's finances long ago. On that meager income, renting a place and pinching every penny, there was no way to cover my steep expenses each year. But every time I brought it up, Mom and Dad always said, you focus on your studies, don't worry about all that. I'd carried the worry all along, yet being powerless, could only press it down deep. I never thought this landmine would, in the end, blow. I quickly composed myself. Auntie Lee, what did that gang look like? Uniforms, accents, height, tattoos, hair color. Auntie Lee shook her head. Didn't pay much attention. All in black suits, nothing else. Oh right, Annie heard them mutter and bang. are in Bang several times. You think their company's called in Bang? Thank you, Auntie Lee. I gave a deep bow. Back home, I immediately searched the map by keyword for in Bang. Nothing matched at all. Could Auntie Lee have misheard? A hard-won lead had run straight into a dead end. Call the city guard? Probably useless. Those who dared to take people away in broad daylight had that kind of backing. But if even the city guard couldn't be counted on, who else could I turn to? The more I thought, the more agitated I grew, and I slammed a fist into the floor. A household the city master himself is called upon, and loan sharks dare run so wild? Lawless. That one phrase, city master, suddenly jolted me awake. The city guard can't handle it doesn't mean the city master can't. I didn't have the city master's contact, so I dialed my homeroom teacher, Teacher Huang. It was the city master who'd come along with him back then. The teacher might have a way. Qinghai High School, faculty office. Today was the day the lords returned, and the teachers had staked out by their phones early. The phone before Huang Shuguang had yet to ring, yet not even the grade director dared show him the slightest attitude, simply because under his charge had come a heaven-defying student. A territory of 1.3 million square meters. Chilling just to think about. Should this grow, he'd be a rock-solid pillar of the nation, an existence the whole country would have to look up to. The testing stone had yet to be seen, but Zhou Yun had dominated the rankings for 3 years, and his character was plain for all to see. The whole school unanimously reckoned that 1.3 million square meters was as good as certain. Ring ring. The phone rang abruptly. Everyone in the office gave a start. Huang Shuguang snatched up the receiver, quick as lightning, his tone so soft it could drip water. Hello. The next moment, his eyes suddenly went round, and he slammed a palm on the desk. Such a thing actually happened? Outrageous. A company called in Bang? Humph. 90% chance it's that Secure the Nation Guard the State collection company. Don't fret. I'll contact the city master's side about the city master. Leave this matter to your teacher with peace of mind. Hanging up, he swept his coat over his shoulders with a whoosh, his gaze like a blade, his bearing every bit a general setting off to war. Director, I'm taking leave. What are you off to do? The director was startled by him. Huang Shuguang gave a cold laugh, and left only 2 words as he went out the door. Kill someone. Secure the Nation Guard the State. That name. I think I've heard Mom and Dad mention it once or twice. I searched again. This time there was a hit. Secure the Nation Guard the State Information Consulting Company, Limited, 26.1 kilometers away. So in Bang was the abbreviation. The map had only an address, not even a phone number. The information was crude indeed. Below it, though, were a few reviews, all denouncing violent debt collection. One said a family member had been beaten into serious injury and hospitalized. The thought that my family might at this very moment be suffering the same torment. I couldn't wait any longer. I rushed out of the complex and flagged a cab. Driver, as fast as you can. Righto. The driver floored it. But before long we were stuck in traffic. Ugh, the lords are returning today. The roads are jammed. I looked at the navigation, estimated congestion, 29 minutes. My brow knotted into a lump. Reaching the destination meant taking the main road, and it was already jammed like this before even getting on. What would it be like once on it? I decisively paid and got out, and under the driver's astonished gaze, walked into the broad, open Lord's Way in the very center of the road. I raised my hand, golden light flashed, and a giant beast appeared. 5 meters long, its head bigger than an iron ball, its 4 limbs thick and sturdy, its body covered in scarlet scales. The scarlet flame earth dragon, Pippi dragon. I vaulted onto its back and patted its head as it glanced left and right. Go. Whoa. Its 4 hooves flew, its enormous body thundering into a gallop. The driver stared after my receding figure, mouth agape. The one I picked up was actually a lord? And this young. The people stuck on the road on both sides stared too, eyes glued. What a cool mount. Being a lord's so nice. No need to worry about traffic. Mom, look at that big brother. Be good, Yuan. That's a lord. Lords are so awesome. When I grow up, I want to be a lord too. Pippi Dragon's base speed was 24, and after promotion to chief, all stats +3, reaching 27, letting it run at full speed to 50-some kilometers per hour. Though it couldn't match a car, cars got stuck, while it could gallop freely on the Lord's Way. Burst speed shouldn't last long, but today Pippi Dragon seemed stirred by something, holding above 45 kilometers per hour the whole way, and, as if addicted, overtaking white horses and ostriches one after another. The overtaken lords cried out in astonishment. Such a huge body, and this fast too? Friend, would you consider selling that mount? Any other time, being watched by so many, I'd probably blush. But right now my head held only one thing: rescue my family as fast as possible. Everyone else's words were automatically filtered out by me. Half an hour later, a 30-story office building stood before me, the headquarters of Secure the Nation Guard the State. Get in. Whoa. Pippi Dragon dashed excitedly toward the front doors, having never seen such a strange building, eager to go in and broaden its horizons. The security guard at the door sensed something wrong and moved to block us. Lord, mounts aren't allowed inside. I turned a deaf ear. Charge in. Whoa. Pippi Dragon accelerated in response. The guard hurriedly grabbed his walkie-talkie. Captain, a lord's making trouble on the first floor. Back up. Bang. The glass doors shattered accordingly. Several guards didn't dare come close, only warning me from a distance not to act recklessly and that they'd already called the police. The thief crying, "Stop, thief." I gave a cold snort and came to the front desk. Where's your general manager's office? The woman at the front desk, cowed by my aura, couldn't even speak properly. Dude, do you have an appointment? Appointment my ass. I said nothing, tapping the toe of my foot lightly against Pippi Dragon's flank, and the next second, the entire front desk counter was smashed into wood chips. The woman screamed, "Help! Security!" Backup arrived, a dark mass of some 30 men, the security captain at their head locking onto me at a glance, hefting a riot baton and charging up front. Who dares make trouble at our Unbang? Unbang. Hearing that word again, my face sank completely. Pippi Dragon understood, and facing the descending baton, neither dodged nor evaded, raising a paw and swiping. Bang! The captain went flying sideways and slammed into the wall. Another swipe, and 2 more suffered along with him. As for the remaining guards, who still dared move, step up and get flattened into a cake. Seeing my gaze sweep over, the front desk woman promptly sold out her boss. 11th floor. It's on the 11th floor. Pippi Dragon was too big to ride the elevator, so I had it return to the territory first and entered the elevator alone to ascend. 2nd floor, 3rd, 5th. At the 8th floor, the elevator suddenly stopped. I assumed someone was boarding and paid it no mind, but the doors opened and 2 wolves pounced. I reacted in an instant. 1 punch, 1 kick, and the 2 wolves were sent flying almost simultaneously. What I had synced at this moment was the combat power of Watery, the Water Swordsman's chief. Zhou Yun Lord, LV5. SDR, 30 plus 3, times 120% equals 39.6 and 26 plus 3 and 20 plus 3 SPR, 20 plus 3 SPD, 30 plus 3, times 110%. Equipment, Gale Sword Skills, Detection, Combat Sync, Chief Promotion, Teleport. Shing. The Gale Sword appeared in my hand, and I stepped out of the elevator, blade in hand. With strength at 39.6, an ordinary wolf taking my punch and kick would be dead or crippled. But these 2, flung out, only howled once, rolled over, and clambered back up. They were some lord's subjects. Young man, decent strength. A low male voice sounded in the corridor. To the right, a middle-aged man in dark sunglasses and a black suit was applauding at me, and around him, no less, were 16 wolves. A dignified lord, working himself to the bone for a company like this? I snorted coldly. Not embarrassed? No, you've misunderstood. He wagged his index finger. This company was opened by my nephew, and I hold 40% of the shares. I'm hardly working for anyone. I answer only to myself. So he hadn't strayed onto the wrong path. He was the chief culprit. Then there was nothing more to say. Shing. Without warning, I burst forward in a charge. If it's an enemy, resolve it. Get him. The man backpedaled while driving the wolves. Facing the pouncing pack, I didn't so much as blink. These wolves were unusual, but they didn't even have 20 speed, far too slow in my eyes. Sidestep, dodge, adjust the angle. Gale slash. A pale green blade of sword energy screamed out, punching through nearly 10 wolves in one breath. They tumbled to the ground beneath them instantly staining red, their health bars in my lord's vision all dropping 90% in unison. Come back. The man was aghast, hurriedly recalling all the wolves to the territory. He'd never expected someone as young as me to have such terrifying combat power. Those wolves were only D rank, yet they were his careful cultivation of nearly 20 years, averaging level 45, with at least 12 points in every stat. Combat power like that, and I'd nearly wiped them out with a single slash. He forced down his shock. Didn't expect you to have such skill at your tender age. No wonder you dared to storm in alone. Tell me, how did Nbang offend you? If it's nothing major, I can smooth it over for you. Call it making a friend. My face was expressionless. Had he said all this the moment the elevator opened, I might truly have considered it. But now, suing for peace only after he couldn't win? What was he doing earlier? You can't smooth it over. I slowly raised my blade. This matter is very major. The nation had its laws. Lords may not slaughter one another. But so long as no lives were lost, the state turned a blind eye. Whoosh! I dashed swiftly up, my blade aimed at the man. You brat. Won't drink the toast. Then drink the forfeit. The man was livid. Balit, show him some color. Pale gold light flashed, and a werewolf dropped down out of thin air, its 2 claws catching my blade. My brow furrowed, my gaze sweeping over its chest, a hero's emblem. A hero. I raised my guard and attacked 3 times in a row. Ding. Ding. Clang. All steadily blocked. Seeing Balit handling it with ease, the man grew composed. Attack with everything. As long as you don't kill him, play with him however you like. Tormenting a genius whose potential far surpassed his own, he seemed to savor a certain thrill. Balit sprang back off the force, dragging an afterimage, its 2 claws suddenly turning scarlet as they raked toward my chest. But my reaction left the man stunned. I actually seemed to give up resistance, standing with my blade planted as a prop, neither parrying nor dodging. Balit's strong, but not to the point of steamrolling, is he? Giving up just like that? The young generation really is worse than that. The thought wasn't finished when a streak of golden light flashed and vanished before me. Ding! Half of Balit's claw, together with its head, flew up as one. In its spinning field of vision, a long-haired maiden in pure black JK attire, holding the posture of a drawn strike, standing quietly before me. What a fast blade! Bang! Balit exploded into a heap of light points and dispersed, dust to dust, earth to earth. Creatures summoned from a territory, upon death, have their departed souls return to the territory. The man seemed frightened dumb, frozen stiff in place, not moving. I'd lost the interest to attack further too, and led Wu Ji into the elevator. This was Wu Ji's first strike, and stunningly brilliant. But I couldn't puzzle it out. In those few exchanges just now, that werewolf stats weren't below mine, its endurance at least 20 points. However high Wu Ji's strength, 1 slash was at most 94 damage, there was no way it should slay it. Could it be, the problem lies with her blade? Crescent Moon, a rank. I made a mental note of this. No sooner had I left than the man's phone rang. He answered numbly. Hello? Uncle, did you stop a young lord named Zhou Yun? Whatever you do, don't lay a hand on him. Just let him come up. Hello? Can you hear me? The man's expression was half crying, half laughing. He already went up. Ding dong, the 11th floor arrived. The doors opened, and a fat face piled high with smiles pressed up to me. It's Brother Yun, right? You should have given me a shout when you came, and I'd have gone to receive you. Almost caused a misunderstanding. Forgot to introduce myself. I'm Wang Xingren, and this company, I opened it. You opened it? My gaze instantly turned sharp as a blade, and I stepped out of the elevator. You're the one who kidnapped my family, aren't you? Where are they? Xing. Wu Ji's blade was already resting against his neck. A misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Wang Xingren raised both hands high. How would I dare kidnap them? I properly invited them here. If you don't believe me, I'll take you to see them right now. Lead the way. Though I sensed no malice, I still kept Wu Ji's blade against him the whole way. A minute later, in a suite on the 11th floor, I truly did see my family. Son, little Yun, bro. Their faces were full of astonishment. I was stunned too. Dad, Mom, little sister. The facts were the exact opposite of what I'd imagined. Not only were they entirely unharmed and in good spirits, but the room they were staying in was decorated on par with a 5-star hotel. Now you should believe me, right? Wang Xingren smiled. I properly invited them. Only then did my dad notice the blade at his neck, and his face immediately fell. Whose daughter is this? So rude. Put the blade down at once. What if someone gets hurt? Whose daughter? The corner of my mouth twitched, and I signaled Wu Ji to sheath her blade. Wu Ji stepped back 2 paces and stood at my rear flank, the very picture of a bodyguard. Wang Xingren's small eyes flashed with cunning light. Brother Zhou, if I'm not mistaken, this one is no one's daughter. She's a hero Brother Yun recruited, isn't she? The word hero made Mom, Dad, and my sister's eyes all light up at once. These days, even those who weren't lords knew the ins and outs of lordship well. Son, is this really a hero you recruited? You need level 5 to recruit a hero, right? Bro, you're amazing. I didn't answer, only examined them carefully once more. Only after confirming they truly weren't hurt did I sigh. What on earth happened? Why aren't you at home? Why move here to stay? And little sister's not even going to school. My dad gave a bitter smile. Son, Now that you've made something of yourself, Dad won't hide it from you. All these years, to support you, our family borrowed from several loan sharks. Now it's time to repay again. And where would the family get the money? Brother Xingren's one of the creditors too, but unlike the others who nag every day and come to threaten, he knew our difficulty and offered on his own that the money could be repaid slowly. And if we couldn't afford rent, we could move here to stay. So here we came. In my dad's telling, Wang Xingren was practically a philanthropist. But my gaze was calm. So neither you nor Mom go to work, and little sister doesn't go to school either? My mom shook her head. Collectors get everywhere. When you can't repay, they block people at your workplace, even on your sister's way to school. How could anyone go to work or school like that? Then what about the phones? I pressed. You don't need to smash phones to move house, do you? And little sister's school bag was thrown out too. Wang Xingren hurried to take the blame. That one's on me. I should have made the trip myself, but I sent my subordinates, and that lot were clumsy and didn't grasp my meaning, which is how all this came about. If Brother Yin wants to settle accounts, settle it on my head. You really smoothed it over just like that? I looked at him, sneering inwardly. This man was neither kin nor friend to my family. Why help? A true saint, and the review map wouldn't be one sheet of bad ratings. For him to do this, there had to be an angle. Seeing the atmosphere gone stiff, my dad pulled Wang Xingren with one hand and tugged me with the other. We said it's a misunderstanding. Come, sit and talk. Once seated, Wang Xingren laughed it off. Today's the joyous day of Brother Yun's return. Not receiving you in time was my fault. To make amends, I'll host. Let me throw a welcome banquet for Brother Yun at the Qinghe Grand Hotel. How about it? Yay! My sister jumped for joy. I've never been to the Qinghe Grand Hotel. Mom and Dad repeatedly declined. Wang Xingren feigned annoyance. Brother Zhou and sister-in-law and I hit it off at first sight. Brother Yun's business is my business. Dad couldn't win the argument and only suggested a cheaper place. I hear a table there starts at 100,000, too extravagant. Wang Xingren waved a big hand. Money gone can be earned again. Besides, our Brother Yun's territory is 1.3 million square meters. A first-tier national subsidy is a sure thing, and in the future he's destined to be a pillar of the state. On that alone, us going to the Qinghe Grand Hotel is doing it in honor. Mom and Dad nodded along as they listened, faces full of smiles, reluctant to spend on themselves. But the thought of spending on their son made the spending feel entirely justified. But my face sank. This Wang Xingren actually knew 1.3 million square meters. I'd been puzzling over what he was after. Now I understood. What he was after was my future. Sure enough, he furrowed his brow, feigning difficulty. There'll likely be quite a few welcome banquets at the Qinghe Grand Hotel today. If we want to do it big, we need some grounds. I believe Brother Yun's territory is 1.3 million. But others won't necessarily believe it. In case someone gets liquored up and comes to argue over what's true, we ought to have proof to show. That's easy, my dad immediately said to me. Son, didn't the city master give you a testing crystal before you went to the territory? When the time comes, you can display it for everyone to see. Let them know that we Zhous call it as it is, 1 for 1 and 2 for 2, never faking anything. Right? That's how it should be. Wang Xingren clapped fist to palm, echoing repeatedly. And if I don't want to? I countered. Dad was stunned, not understanding why his son would say such a thing. Wang Xingren was even more awkward, because those words were aimed squarely at him. Mom and Dad sensed the atmosphere was off. They knew their own son best. Never mind how lofty his character. At the very least, he was courteous and measured with everyone. Never rude, let alone snapping back to someone's face like this. Wang Xingren laughed awkwardly. Brother Yun jests. Showing the crystal is a trivial matter. Surely there's no taboo about it. I slowly rose, wearing a faint, barely there cold smile. Then it's the same question. If I don't wanna, what do you plan to do? Let me put it another way. If I said the true area of my territory isn't even 1% of 1.3 million, what would you plan to do then? Brother Yun, don't jest. How could that possible? I'm quite serious. My smile vanished entirely. Wang Xingren fell silent a moment. No matter how big your territory is, first let me state my position. I bear no ill will. Second, I'm a businessman. I talk investment and return. Since it's come to this, I'll speak plainly. If your territory's just over 10,000 square meters, I'll give your family's accounts a 30% discount as friends. But if it truly is 1.3 million, I'll shoulder all your family's outside debts. From then on, I, Wang Xingren, will be your dog, your whole family's dog. Tell me east, and I'll never go west. The last two sentences he said with spittle flying. Mom, Dad, and my sister were all dumbstruck. Such a big boss. Willing to be a dog? Not much of anything. I refused outright. A lackey who runs errands for loan sharks like you. You think you're fit to handle things for me? You think too highly of yourself. If my family weren't safe and sound, you think you'd still be able to talk nicely with me right now? Mouthing off about doing right by my family, when in truth you've been confining them, waiting to sell to the highest bidder. The moment I come back, if the territory really is 1.3 million and your investment pays off, you'd rush to be a dog on the spot. But if I were just a sesame-sized small lord, you'd probably turn hostile then and there, demanding back the room and board of these days with interest, wouldn't you? Mom and Dad's faces changed abruptly. Kindness without cause is either treachery or theft. They'd felt something off at first too, but couldn't hold out against these days of sugar-coated shells and gradually let their guard down. Now that I'd laid it bare, they realized with a start, had I truly displayed the crystal and revealed a sesame-sized bottom, the whole family likely wouldn't have walked out this door today. Clap, clap, clap. Wang Xingren applauded with a smile. My methods may be crude, but not just anyone can withstand them. You not only stayed unmoved, but saw right through it in one breath. Those who can be lords really do have something. But that's all. I'm guessing your absolute refusal to take out the crystal is because you're feeling guilty, isn't it? That so-called million square meters of yours is simply a lie. Otherwise, a little display would do you nothing but good. You'd have no reason to refuse. I took my ease. So what? I'm rather curious how you plan to proceed. Young man, hot-blooded after all, doesn't understand how sinister society is. He shook his head. Having dared let you come up, how could I be without a backup plan? You didn't really think that those of us in this trade keep only some useless security guards who eat and never work, did you? He clapped his hands, and a great crowd of footsteps suddenly sounded in the corridor. Creak. The door opened, and a swarm of black suits jammed the doorway. Wang Xingren lit a cigar, taking on the bearing of one who commanded the whole situation. I've got a bad habit, strong curiosity. The more you refuse to take out the crystal, the more curious I get. Today, this crystal, you'll take it out whether you want to or not. And if you won't, you'll take it out anyway. Daddy, my sister couldn't quite understand. But since that Wang Xingren had suddenly turned frightening and hid behind Dad, Dad held our nervous mom with one hand, shielded my sister behind him with the other, and was about to rise and argue. I stepped across, blocking in front of Dad. Wu Ji. The words weren't out before a black shadow flitted past. In the blink of an eye, Wu Ji had already sheathed her blade back in place. The next second, on every black-clad man behind Wang Xingren, a line of blood burst forth simultaneously, running diagonally from shoulder to waist. The dark, menacing mass of a moment ago, in one blink, all collapsed to the ground. Clatter. Wang Xingren's cigar dropped, his eyes full of disbelief. You're not. How could? Bang. I kicked him aside with one foot and turned to my family. Come, let's go home. My sister nodded hard, her eyes shining bright, not a trace of fear left. Out the door, the corridor was still packed with black-clad men. But I led at the very front, and wherever I passed, they hurriedly dodged aside, wishing they could press their whole bodies into the walls. Unobstructed, we exited the front doors, and the family was about to head for the bus stop, when suddenly, police sirens blared. Police cars pulled up below one after another, a rough count no fewer than 50. Mom and Dad instantly grew nervous. Could it be, because we injured people, they've come to arrest us? My gaze grew grave too. Could the loan sharks truly have such far-reaching power? But the car doors opened, and the first two to step out let me relax at once. One was my high school homeroom teacher, Huang Guang, and the other, the city master of Qinghe City. Behind them, fully armed city guard soldiers filed out and formed ranks. Huang Guang rushed up in a few quick strides. How is it? All okay? Did you get them out? I nodded with a smile. Fairly smoothly. It's not that teacher's scolding you, but you were too rash, he chided. Could these people be easy to deal with? You should have at least waited for us to arrive before acting. What if something had gone wrong? Warmth stirred in my heart. I know I was wrong, teacher. Huang Guang shook his head helplessly. Every time it's like this, admitting fault so fast that I can't even bring myself to criticize you. The city master stepped forward with a smile. Beside him, the refined and tall Director Gua, Director General of the City Guard Bureau, also came over to size me up. So this is the genius who awakened a 1.3 million square meter territory? A future pillar of the state really does carry more weight. The city masters usually buried in official duties, and even I, a director general, find it hard to get a meeting, yet the moment he heard about your matter, he came in person without a word. and even named me by name to deploy the elites. Sigh. Comparing people is enough to enrage a man. Huang Shuwang's expression stiffened slightly, and he quietly leaned to my side and lowered his voice. Your testing, Crystal, it went smoothly, right? As he asked, his heart pounded like a drum. Being able to summon the city master and alarm the bureau, he'd relied entirely on the prestige of that 1.3 million square meters. If the test had gone awry, the corner of my mouth twitched. There was a little hiccup. Huang Shuwang was about to have a heart attack from fright. What he feared most had come. As luck would have it, the city master had keen ears. What went wrong with the testing, Crystal? Director Guo's gaze gathered over too. Huang Shuwang's mind went blank. He understood clearly. If the 1.3 million didn't hold up, half a lifetime's prospects would be ruined, and even Zhou Yun's whole family might be dragged in. It had nothing to do with right or wrong. Reality was simply that cruel. He gave a long sigh. Take it out. Come what may, he would shoulder the responsibility himself and do his utmost to protect his student. This was the last thing he could do. Now, I asked. Now, since the teacher had spoken, I did as told, though I felt this moment wasn't quite appropriate. A flash of white light, and the testing crystal appeared in my palm. When the city master had given it to me, it was transparent. Now it had turned gold, the mark of successful activation. Looking at the numbers on it, I gave a forlorn sigh. Only 10 million square meters. The words out, I froze first myself. What? 10 million? Refusing to believe it, I looked over and over. No mistake. The crystal read clearly. 10 million square meters. Even the ever-steady Director Guo couldn't speak straight. This wasn't it supposed to be 1.3 million? How? Mom, Dad, and my sister were stunned too. 7 days ago, I'd clearly said 1.3 million. And when I'd said there was a hiccup a moment ago, they'd thought the territory had shrunk and clenched with worry. But the result, not only hadn't it shrunk, it was even bigger. Shing. Before I could get a clear look, the crystal had been swept away by the city master. This isn't the place to talk. Come to my place. The city master's tone carried obvious excitement pressed down, brooking no dispute. So my whole family, along with teacher Huang, got into the city master's car. Wu Ji, I sent back to the territory for now. The whole way, the city master said not a word, and no one else dared speak either. Amid an eerie calm, we arrived at the city master's residence. Passing through gardens, corridors, and a fish pond, we entered an ivory-colored small building. Clatter, the door locked. The city master seemed to relax. This building's set with a soundproofing ward. Besides us, there's no one else here. No need to worry about the cult's prying. The word cult, out. Every heart in the room sank. In this era of humanity's struggle against calamity beasts, there were actually humans who defected, worshipped the calamity beasts, formed cults, and made it their goal to help the calamity beasts unify the world. In their eyes, the greater a lord's potential, the more of a thorn in the eye. The strong were already established and hard to touch, so a rising star like Zhou Yun was the prime choice. They would also slaughter civilians without any bottom line, collecting blood, bone, and organs to build altars. This was the very root of why even ordinary people paled at the mention of them. Look at you all. What's with the solemn faces? The city master smiled and set the crystal squarely in the center of the table. With a heaven-defying result like this, you ought to be glad. The golden crystal glittered radiantly, the dark gold characters, 10 million square meters, dazzling to the eye. Director Guo praised from the heart. 10 million. In all of global history, this is probably the one and only, isn't it? The city master feigned solemnity. Drop the isn't it. This is the one and only in all of global history. Huang Shuwang could hardly contain his excitement. Then the national first-tier subsidy should be no problem, right? There's a problem, and not a small one. The city master shook his head. As it looks now, this first-tier subsidy is 100% unobtainable. Mom and Dad instantly grew anxious. That's not right, city master. Wasn't it said that 1 million qualifies for the first-tier subsidy, and 10 million doesn't instead? Whatever condition's lacking, you tell us. We'll go all out to meet it. It's not a lacking condition. The city master still shook his head. The nation has it in writing. Awakened territory exceeding 5 million square meters enjoys the special tier subsidy. Special tier? Higher than first tier? Mom, Dad, and teacher Huang were all stunned. Wasn't first tier the cap? Ha! Director Guo finally couldn't hold back his laughter. City master, don't suddenly pull this. You made me hold it in so hard. Seeing the several dumbfounded faces, the city master couldn't keep it up either and apologized repeatedly. Sorry, Sorry, too happy, just a little joke. But what I said is the truth. Exceeding 5 million does indeed enjoy the special tier subsidy. Only the nation reckoned almost no one could reach it. So few know of it. So there is still a subsidy? Mom and Dad were uneasy. You too, set your minds completely at ease, the city master consoled. The crystal's already in my hands. I'll handle the follow-up procedures myself. By tomorrow afternoon at the latest, the subsidy will be in place. That fast? Mom and Dad were shocked. They'd looked it up online, and the subsidy took a month at the fastest. Of course, Director Gua said, as a matter of course. Your son awakened a 10 million territory, the one and only in the world, the Lord with the greatest potential of the present age. Calling him a national special tier protected subject wouldn't be an overstatement. For a talent standing at the pinnacle of the pyramid, enjoying a few privileges is only natural. Mom and Dad clutched each other's hands tightly, trembling with emotion. To support me, they'd carried debt for years and still owed over 200,000, tense and oppressed day after day. Now with the subsidy on its way, they wished they could shout out loud on the spot. Were they not at the city master's residence, seated before two leaders they normally couldn't even lay eyes on, they'd surely have lost composure already. Huang Shuguang, too, held down a body full of trembling. Made something of himself. Truly made something of himself. The one and only in history, most powerful potential lord of the present age, was a student he'd taught. In the future, he'd be a pillar of the state, a leader against the calamity beasts. In this moment, he even felt that the meaning of his whole life's existence was perhaps to bring out this student, Zhou Yun. Amid his excitement, he still had one question. So this hiccup with the crystal you mentioned, what on earth was it? Director Gua cut in. What else could it be? Giving us a surprise, of course. Everyone burst out laughing. Zhou Yun's dramatic pause had nearly scared them to death, but the result was indeed an enormous surprise. Only I smiled somewhat forced. Because there was a hiccup, truly wasn't mystification. I'd meant to use the crystal to measure the data of the whole planet, only to find, unexpectedly, that the crystal's limit was exactly 10 million square meters. At that figure, though it still operated, the number would no longer change. And any nation on Earth held absolute faith in the crystal's data. If the crystal said 10 million, then my territory was 10 million. The Lord himself could talk till the sky broke, and it'd be useless. 10 million it is, then. In any case, the nation's reward had topped out, so it made no difference to me. I completely gave up the notion of confessing the true size. So can we go home now? Dad couldn't wait to take the family to celebrate. No. The city master was decisive. For at least the next 2 days, you all have to stay here. Teacher Huang and Director Gua included. Huang Shuguang understood after a moment's thought and explained to Mom and Dad. Zhou Yun's status is different now. He displayed the crystal in public. Even if only for an instant, he could be marked by the cult. Staying at the city master's residence for now is safest. Besides, the backgrounds of us witnesses need the nation to send people to vet clean. The city master nodded. Procedure is procedure, but for such a great happy occasion, a celebration's still in order. I'll arrange it right now. 2 tables in the white jade pavilion. Not a grand affair, but plenty of food and drink. The city master said not a grand affair. But when the banquet began, though the people weren't many, their statuses were each loftier than the last. The deputy city master, the education director, the finance director, the commerce director, the top officials of every department in the whole city, all gathered at this small little table. Learning their statuses, Mom, Dad, and Teacher Huang were at a loss. These were people you normally only saw on TV news. But contrary to the stereotype, this bunch of top officials had not the slightest airs, each more approachable than the last. Brother Zhou this, and sister-in-law, that at every turn. Such that one who didn't know would take it for decades-old friendship. Mom and Dad were reserved at first, but a few cups of wine in, they loosened up too. Dad, who'd quit drinking for nearly 20 years, got completely blind drunk. Mom, who never touched a drop, downed several big glasses of wine too. My sister Zhou Huan didn't drink, but received a pile of gifts, and was now grinning ear to ear at gifts stacked 2 people high, her eyes full of stars. Huang Shuguang, poor at holding his drink, slumped over the table early. Thank. Director for the promotion, I'll definitely. Work hard. Won't let you down, hick. I woke to find it was already early the next morning. Finally free, I told my family in detail about these 7 days' experiences in the territory. I summoned Big Fire, Bear Big, Cauliflower One, and Watery. Mom and Dad were somewhat afraid, but my sister wasn't afraid at all, feeling close instead, and took the initiative to want to play with them. That afternoon, The city master brought good news. The special tier subsidy had been approved. 1 billion would land in the account, and the family would be relocated to the capital, taking up residence in the Forbidden City, with treatment equal to national first-rank cadres. Such exaggerated rewards left Mom, Dad, and my sister speechless for a long while. Compared with before, they'd now soared to the heavens in a single step. But I couldn't wholly steep myself in the joy, because the city master had also brought a golden token. Tomorrow is the day you take part in the trial. This is your trial token. With it you can go straight through the golden passage. Once over there, a Grand Lord will accompany and protect you throughout to complete the trial. Ask for help promptly when you meet difficulty, and never push yourself. You're different from other participating lords. Your foremost task is to ensure your own safety. Having laid out the points to note, he left, leaving me with a wry smile. 18 years a commoner, and I finally get to enjoy VIP treatment too? Everyone else's trial tokens are silver, mine's gold. Too conspicuous, really. And a Grand Lord protecting me the whole way. At that intensity, the moment I hit any danger, the Grand Lord would probably step in and smooth it over directly. Can this even be called a trial? Playing house wouldn't be an overstatement. I shook my head and began sorting out what to bring tomorrow. The nation's protection was thorough, of course, but I was no weakling who shattered at a touch. The calamity beasts in the trial were an important source of experience in my plans. Leveling up my subjects and heroes depended entirely on them. At 11 at night, when ordinary folk were already asleep, the officially opened class of 2026 Lord Exchange Group was chatting away hotly. The trial's tomorrow, so nervous. Same for everyone. Who isn't nervous? First time fighting fierce beasts, not being scared would be strange. I found the big sis of our circle to cover me. Should pass with no pressure. You brat latched on a Godsu's thigh. Precisely. Cheating. Officially condoned. You can too if you're able, blah blah. This Godsu you speak of, who is that? You're not from our circle, are you? Godsu is our circle's #1. The genius lord who reached level 5 by day 7. Level 5 by day 7. Did I hear wrong? How about it? Want to be one of Godsu's little fanboys? The Church of Godsu welcomes you. No. I'll still pick Brother Yun of our circle. Brother Yun? Who? Fit to compare with Godsu. What a tacky name. And brother too. Sounds like some nobody off the street at first hearing. The brother generation can't compare to the God generation. Brother Yun is our circle's #1. He reached level 5 by day 6. What nonsense are you all spouting? Lying without even a draft. Godsu hitting level 5 by day 7 is already the limit, and your Brother Yun by day 6. Level 5 by day 6 breaks the historical record. If he's that awesome, why hasn't he shown his face? Damn it. Our whole circle received both the level 3 and level 5 resource red packets from Brother Yun. What are you all questioning? Brother Yun's my lifesaver. Watch your words. Brother Yun's just low-key and doesn't like the limelight. Doesn't mean he's not strong, understand. Seeing the quarrel grow ever fiercer, an administrator simply enabled a mute. The world fell quiet. Inner ring of the capital, a courtyard house. Su Qingxue lay on her bed, staring at the just-muted group, muttering to herself. Brother Yun? Level 5 by day 6. So many people say so, it's probably true. But someone actually leveled up faster than me. My territory is a full 1.24 million square meters, and the quality is even S-. On what grounds does he stand above me? A flash of anger surged higher, and unable to press down the fire, she humphed, and turned her face back toward the window. Out of the corner of her eye, that Brother Yun had actually closed his eyes to rest, the very picture of complete relaxation, as if he hadn't taken the impending trial to heart at all. Su Qingxue added another log to the fire in her heart. Keep it up. Keep putting on airs. Once we're inside Mengshan City, let's see if you can still keep the act going. I got it. This is the trial's opening chapter, from the Versailles social death in the Golden Passage, to the Tsundere inner monologue of the second female lead Su Qingxue, then the laying out of the trial rules, and the two #1s boarding the same aircraft, and finally Pippi Dragon's Crimson Flame Domain opening reap. Lighthearted and witty plus information setup plus battle kickoff. The next day, like the other lords of Qinghe City, I gathered at the Awakening Center bright and early. The difference was, my accompanying entourage was a bit larger. Besides the city master and deputy city master, there were also 2 city guard squads personally commanded by Director Gua. This spectacle drew frequent sidelong glances from the crowd, and even I felt somewhat uncomfortable. The city master's explanation was, the cult is everywhere. and not the slightest carelessness can be allowed. I accepted it. Caution does no harm. If I had the choice, I truly wouldn't want to deal with the cult either. At 7 sharp, the teleportation array opened right on time. A lord holds the token to pass through the teleportation array to the trial grounds, and up to 3 direct family members can obtain spectating rights. Mom, Dad, and my sister naturally wouldn't miss it and went through another array. The teleportation ended, and I found myself on a plain where yellow sand filled the sky. About 1,000 meters off, a reinforced concrete spectating platform stood out conspicuously. Mom and Dad and the others should be over there, right? Can they see me now? Just as I was thinking this, I furrowed my brow and shifted my body to the side. The person behind me struck an empty palm, expression astonished. Friend, nice skills. What is it? I said calmly. He pointed ahead. Just reminding you it's time to enter. I glanced over, a trace of embarrassment flashing in my eyes. Thanks, I spaced out just now. No worries, no worries. He was quite the familiar sort. I'm Zhonglei, and you? Seeing your skills are pretty good. How about forming a team once we go in? Zhou Yun. Zhou Yun. Brother Yun? Your brother Yun? Zhonglei shouted exaggeratedly. That one shout immediately drew a wave of gazes. Holy crap, Brother Yun in the flesh. Seeing the real person? Must be someone with the same name, right? Brother Yun's our circle's number 1. How could he go through the ordinary passage? Amid the chatter, I had already left the ordinary passage and, under the crowd's astonished gazes, walked toward the golden passage, which was empty over there, not a single person. The instant I displayed the golden token and vanished into the passage entrance, a whole crowd of mouths gaped wide enough to fit an egg. He went through the golden passage. It really is Brother Yun. The real deal slipped away right before my eyes, and I was still doubting it. Damn it. The autograph chance flew away. Zhonglei even beat his chest and stamped his feet. What am I doing? I was this close to teaming up with Brother Yun. At this point a cold snort came. TCH, what Brother Yun? For all the hype in the group, one look and there's nothing special about him except being a bit handsome. Absolutely. God Su is a great house of the capital. How could just any stray cat or dog compare? Right? Where's God Su? With God Su's status, she doesn't need to go through the passage at all. She goes straight into the trial airfield. By now she's probably already boarded. God Su's got the clout. Seeing the 2 groups about to start quarreling, several soldiers strode over. Keep quiet, no clamoring. A shouting match was strangled in the cradle. Just past the golden passage, a gorgeous woman in a black skin-tight leather outfit and a high ponytail came up to meet me. Zhou Yun, I'm Gu Mingru, Brigade Commander of the 1st Brigade of the 4th Armed Division of the Great Han Nation. Call me Sister Gu or Commander Gu, either's fine. Your safety during this trial is my responsibility throughout. Any questions? I shook my head. The city master had said long ago that a Grand Lord would guard me, so it wasn't abrupt. Then board. We'll talk on board if there's anything. The so-called aircraft wasn't an ordinary plane, but a Calamity Beast armed craft, a military helicopter refitted with armor smelted from Calamity Beast hide, fur, bone, and cores. Only it could carry a lord safely to the trial grounds. Boarding, I found someone had arrived first. A girl, extremely beautiful and extremely cold. Seeing me come up, she only glanced once, then turned her head to look out the window, as if utterly uninterested. Little did she know that the instant she turned her head, her heart had already blown up inside. The one who can share the aircraft should be that Brother Yin, right? Humph, didn't expect he'd be pretty good looking. Should I take the initiative to say hello? Forget it. He's my rival. Wouldn't taking the initiative to say hello show weakness? If anyone's going to speak first, it should be him to me. It's been a second, and he still won't speak? Does he look down on me? No. Wait, is he looking at me? Still looking? Is there something wrong with my outfit? Why did he stop looking again? Really doesn't plan to pay me any mind? Humph. Aloof enough, aren't you? I took my seat and found that in one corner of the cabin there also leaned a man in the same black leather outfit, eyes closed feigning sleep. Likely the Grand Lord guarding this cold and aloof girl. Gu Mingru spoke up. Let me brief the situation before the trial. This trial's grounds are Mengshan City in the buffer zone. The Calamity Beasts within the city were cleared once within the past month, so at present most are F-rank, level 1 newborn beasts. The only trouble is their enormous numbers. For you two, who could rise to level 5 during the survival period, it's not hard. But if you get careless because of that, she glanced at the man. You take it from here, don't put on airs pretending to half-dose. The man sighed. Killing Calamity Beasts earns merit, which can be exchanged in the merit shop for building materials, Calamity Beast armaments, and even evolution stones. If you've no need, find the outskirts and hide well, there's no shame in it. But if you want merit and a ranking, you have to head for the city center. The deeper in, the denser and stronger the calamity beasts. After F rank comes E rank. Break through, and the D rank chieftain at the center awaits you. Take it down, and you're first place this time, and you also get merit equivalent to killing a level 50 B rank chieftain. TSK, and this is treatment only newcomers get. You're tempting him, Gumingru said with a light rebuke. Just telling the truth, the man said, spreading his hands. After that, all four in the cabin practiced the vow of silence, not another word. I simply closed my eyes to rest, going over the information in my head. Actually, all of this was on the official website. I'd done my homework well. I wanted the merit. Its value far exceeded credit points, especially evolution stones, which can only be obtained from the merit shop. I wanted experience too, since my territory held existences like the blazing sun divine bird and the crimson flame flying dragon. That meant the stronghold's safety was only temporary, and unknown dangers likely lurked all around. To keep developing outward, I had to level up my subjects and heroes as much as possible. As for ranking, it was of no importance to me. Only, the cult's potential threat couldn't go unconsidered. Going all out didn't seem wise. Troublesome. Chop, 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 chop. After about half an hour, the rotors finally began to turn. I opened my eyes to look, and out the window, one calamity beast armed craft after another shot straight up in place. On the east side of the spectating platform, the commentary booth rose, its voice ringing across the whole ground. Good morning, family members. This Mengshan City trial will be commentated by us throughout. I'm Aze. I'm Bing Bing. As you can see on the big screen, the lords have set off by aircraft. The one flying at the very front is a different color, because aboard it sit the two most outstanding in potential this session. The Su family's young lady of the capital, Su Qingxue, and the commoner academic ace of Qinghe, Zhou Yun. Territory information is kept confidential and inconvenient to disclose. Not disclosing the information, but just announcing the names directly isn't great either, is it? It's fine. The commentary is only for family members, and safety measures have long been in place around the platform. 20 minutes later, the armed crafts reached Mengshan City's outermost edge. Jump! Gumingru barked, leaping down first. Without hesitation, I followed right after. Parachuting is a required course for lords, learned long ago at school. The lords parachuted one after another, and white blossoms soon bloomed across the sky. Per the official website, the Great Han Nation had a full 11,032 participating lords this session. Whoosh! I landed smoothly. Before I could examine the environment carefully, a large swarm of gray louse lizards had already pounced. Gray louse lizard calamity beast F rank level 1. STR2, N1, N1 SPR2 SPD, 2 no talent, no skills. Resembles a hairless lizard. Its joints emit coal cinder gray vapor, and upon death bursts into gray mist to obscure vision. Perfect timing. I raised a hand and beckoned, and Pippi Dragon appeared. Whether calamity beast, monster, or hero, there's an iron rule for gaining experience. The more the killed unit resembles it, the more experience gained. Apart from being smaller than Pippi Dragon, the gray louse lizards had over 70% resemblance in appearance. Using it to meet them head-on was most fitting. Woo! Pippi Dragon, summoned again, had been rather happy at first, but the moment it saw a large swarm of ugly gray louse lizards pouncing, its good mood vanished instantly. Woo! Its short, thick right foreclaw stamped down lightly, and a pale red halo abruptly spread out with it at the center. Crimson Flame Domain. Bang bang bang. The gray louse lizards within the Crimson Flame domain couldn't hold out even 2 seconds, instantly bursting into clumps of gray mist. Golden light flashed repeatedly across Pippi Dragon's body. Crimson Flame Earth Dragon Chieftain rose to level 2. Rose to level 3. Rose to level 4. I smiled calmly and vaulted onto Pippi Dragon's back. Let's go. Woo! Pippi Dragon cheered, spread its 4 claws, and advanced in the direction I pointed. Wherever it walked, the Crimson Flame domain burned. Level 1 F-rank gray louse lizards had only 3 points of endurance and no more than 10 health. How could they withstand continuous scorching? Never mind attacking, the slightest approach and they'd bang into gray mist. This left the nearby lords, who could only barely fight back by relying on cover and huddling together, dumbstruck. Holy crap, is he cheating? So many gray louse lizards can't even get near him? Can the gap between people really be this big? That mount of his isn't in the bestiary, so cool. Stop being cool and fight back. You blockhead. You're about to land in a box. At the spectating platform, in the commentary booth. Aze, look at the scoreboard. Two Lords Merit has already shot up to first and second. It's Zhou Yun and Su Qingxue. Zhou Yun broke 100, Su Qingxue broke 30, and it's not even 2 minutes since landing. Bing bing. The camera goes to Zhou Yun. My goodness, he's riding on his mount, and the many gray louse lizards can't get near him. It seems related to the red halo beneath his feet. Aze, that should be a domain type skill. And this mount, there's no record of it in the bestiary. It's very likely a new monster and of no low rank. Bing bing. No low rank. How do you judge that, brother Aze? Aze, simple. A domain skill's damage is usually only 1/5 that of an AoE attack, 1/10 that of a single target one. Yet it can continuously instant kill swaths of gray louse lizards. Combined with the fact that newcomer subjects are generally low level, I judge this mount to be at least B rank, very likely A rank. The audience below erupted. A rank. Quite a few Grand Lords don't even have A rank subjects, do they? And this is still a newcomer? No wonder they say he and Su Qingxue are the most promising this session. Can't compare. A rank right off the bat. Unbelievable. Everyone present was a family member of a participating lord, and Aze's judgment dealt them a heavy blow. Only the three of the Zhou family had faces as if wrapped in a layer of light. My sister Zhou Huan even stood up and shouted, "Go, big brother." The whole audience cast envious gazes at her. The camera shifted, and a beautiful young girl in an ice-blue battle robe strolled along broken streets. A group of snow-white youths circling around her, and where she passed, crystalline snowflakes actually drifted up. Aze, it's the E-rank monster, the Snow Youth. 16 snow youths have altered the local climate. Snow is falling in autumn Mengshan City. In this world of ice and snow, the gray louse lizard's speed plummets, turning into one ice sculpture after another. And that glowing ice-blue battle robe of hers, it's no ordinary battle robe. It's a Calamity Beast armament. The audience let out another collective sigh. They've even got Calamity Beast armaments? Well, it's the Su family, one of the elite houses of the capital. Whether it's raw potential or trust fund money, ordinary lords can't even come close. Ace shifted the conversation, but the other families needn't feel discouraged. The lords will soon enter the team combat phase. As strong as these two are, they still have stamina and mana limits. They can't push forward like this forever. Cooperation is inevitable. That did lift the family's spirits a bit. Suddenly, one parent cried out with delight. "That's my daughter." She just ran into Lord Zhou Yun. Bing bing. Lord Li Shiner is moving toward Zhou Yun, clear intent to team up. Looks like they're about to join forces. Ace, wait. Why is Lord Zhou Yun continuing on alone? And look how crushed Li Shiner is. Did he turn her down? Bing bing. Lord Zhou Yun probably has his own reasons. Ace, maybe he's holding out for stronger teammates? The lords you encounter further in do tend to be more capable. Bing bing. In that case, Lord Zhou Yun falls just short of Su Qingxue. She's already assembled a 3-person squad in this short time. Inside Mengshan City, Gu Mengru casually cleared out Ashlouse lizards, her gaze fixed on me the whole time. Watching me reject Li Shiner's invitation, she gave a slight shake of her head. His people have decent combat power, but that's about it. Greedy for glory, reckless, a show-off, a lone wolf hero, commoner stock, no real pedigree. Lord Song must have told him this trial only requires him to survive. At this rate, it's questionable whether he'll even finish. I may have to step in soon. Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon Chief has reached level 11. Level 11. I nodded to myself, thoroughly satisfied. Fighting Calamity Beasts really was the fastest way to level up. Look how quickly Pippi Dragon had gone from level 1 to level 11. Ranks E/F, plus 1 stat per level. Ranks D/C, plus 2. Rank B, plus 4. And rank A monsters, plus 8 per level. From level 1 to 11, Pippi Dragon's total stats had exploded by 80 points. Scarlet Flame Earth Dragon Subject Chief Monster Rank A level 11. STR 31 plus 21 plus 3 and 50 plus 36 plus 3 and 16 plus 5 plus 3 SPI 17 plus 8 plus 3 SPD 24 plus 10 plus 3. Talent: Scarlet Flame WIRM Scales. Feeds on Fire Element or grants a growing shield. Skill: Scarlet Flame Domain. 3-meter radius. Inflicts continuous burn on enemies. Originally a Scarlet Flame Lizard, mutated into a WRM type after absorbing Scarlet Flame Wyvern Blood. Even I was surprised. In this short a time, Its endurance had nearly caught up to Wu Ji, my rank A hero. A few more levels, and its strength would catch up too. But after level 10, its leveling had clearly slowed. Experience has diminishing thresholds. The Ashlouse lizards were now more than 10 levels below it, so they gave far less experience. Still, I didn't summon my other subjects. Pippi Dragon wasn't just a powerhouse, it was also my mount. Every level counted, so all the experience went to it for now. Pippi Dragon, still holding up? I patted its head. Its stamina, spirit, and mana drain were what I had to watch. Roar! It reared up on its hind legs and let out a resounding cry. I smiled. As my personally appointed subject chief, I understood what it meant. I'm fine, never better. Then let's keep going. Roar! It picked up the pace happily. As a rank A monster with a trace of dragon blood, it was no fool. It knew that being the first one I summoned meant I trusted it, valued it. Of course it would seize the chance to shine. Besides, it could feel its power surging. If it didn't grab this opportunity, Xiongda, Ikai, and a Shui would be fighting over it. Comrades were comrades. But competition was competition. Whap! One sweep of its massive tail sent every Ashlouse lizard it hit bursting apart. With 55 points of strength, a casual swing dealt 55 damage, while the lizards only had 10 HP. One tail swipe, and they were 45 points in the hole. In the distance, Gu Mingru's eyes narrowed slightly. That earth dragon-like monster. It's been fighting this long, and still in top form? Is he planning to ride this card all the way? Or is this the only card he's got? Just then, I ran into another group of lords, 6 of them, clearly already formed into a squad. One of them looked surprised. Who's that guy? He's a beast. Another said with certainty. That's Yun. Check the merit rankings. His kill speed lines up perfectly with Yun's merit gains. With that, he waved at me, ignoring his teammates. Yun, we're pinned down in this building and can't get out. Can you help us? I took a look, a dilapidated building with most of its outer wall collapsed. The 6 lords were crammed onto the 3rd floor platform, taking turns hacking at Ashlouse lizards that kept surging up the stairs. They were so overwhelmed they couldn't even spare a hand to head downstairs, let alone break out. Gu Mingru glanced over, asking him, "You've got the wrong guy." But my next move made her raise an eyebrow. Pippi Dragon, head over there. I patted its head, and it understood, immediately making for the ruined building. The lord who'd called out, Yun, nearly jumped for joy. Yun's coming. Yun's coming to help us. At the viewing platform. Ace, huh? Zhou Yun's changed direction. He's heading toward that ruined building. Has he finally developed some team awareness? Very possibly. He's turned down so many invitations along the way, but his mount is constantly draining. Teaming up now must be a necessity. A dozen or so family members couldn't help but smile. Thank goodness, my son's about to team up with Lord Zhou Yun. He's catching a free ride. That mount's so big, it can easily carry 4 or 5, right? Inside Mengshan City. With Pippi Dragon steps, I drew closer and closer to the 6-person squad. The Ashlouse lizards gathered outside the ruined building were especially dense. But no matter how many, it made no difference to the Scarlet Flame domain. The 6 grew more excited by the second. But just as the door came into view, I turned and started circling the building, continuing to clear out the swarm without going in. That left the 6 baffled. Why isn't he coming up? His mount's probably too big to fit. Let me try sending a request. Sure enough, the moment he said it, I received an invitation. Lord Huang Yufan invites you to join their squad. Decline. After tapping it, I called out to the 6. I've cleared out the Ashlouse lizards around here. Good luck with your trial. And with that, I strode off, leaving the 6 of them stunned. One lord snorted coldly. So much for Yun. What a small-minded guy. Would it kill him to give us a lift? If it were the Su prodigy, he'd wave us in without a second thought. The one who'd called him Yun immediately took offense. If your precious Su prodigy's so great, go find him yourself. Yun may not be giving you a ride, but he cleared the mobs and bought us room to breathe. Even the commentary booth fell silent for a rare moment. Ace, it seems Lord Zhou Yun still has no interest in teaming up.